My mother told me my 8-year-old daughter couldn't come to the family beach house because she was too loud and disruptive. $4.2 million of oceanfront property, and my child wasn't welcome. My siblings' kids got full access. At the property deed reading, I didn't cry. I stood up and said, "Everyone should know this house was actually bought with my money." Her lawyer dropped everything. Some people in my family still think I went too far. After everything you are about to hear, I want to know what you think. The conference room smelled like furniture polish and old money. My mother sat at the head of the table in her Navy Talbot suit, the one she wore to important occasions. My sister Caroline was taking notes on her phone. My brother David had his hands folded like he was in church. The lawyer, a man named Gerald something with silver cufflinks, had just begun explaining the distribution of assets when I stood up. My chair made a scraping sound against the hardwood. Everyone looked at me. "Before we continue," I said, "I think everyone should know where the money for that beach house actually came from." Gerald set his pen down very slowly. My mother's hand went to her pearls. She always did that when she was cornered. "Let me tell you how we got here. I grew up in a house where my sister Caroline could do no wrong and I could do no right." That sounds dramatic, I know, but I mean it literally. When Caroline got a B+ in calculus, my parents threw her a dinner at the country club. When I brought home straight A's, my father looked at my report card and said, "Well, you always were good at following instructions." Caroline was the firstborn, the golden child. She looked like my mother, spoke like my mother, wanted all the same things my mother wanted. I looked like my father's side of the family, which my mother never let me forget, and I wanted things nobody in our family had ever wanted before. When I was 16, I told my parents I wanted to study finance. My father laughed, an actual laugh, the kind you can't take back. "Sweetheart," he said, "women in our family don't do that kind of work. You should think about teaching, or maybe event planning. Caroline is considering interior design." I smiled and said okay. I was already teaching myself coding at night. My mother's version of fairness had always been flexible. When Caroline needed a car for college, they bought her a new Audi. When I needed a car, they gave me my grandmother's old Buick with 170,000 miles on it. The air conditioning didn't work. I drove it for 3 years. "You're more practical," my mother said when I asked about the difference. "Caroline needs to make a certain impression." I was 17 when I started my first business. Nothing fancy. I built websites for local companies. $500 a site, sometimes $1,000 if they wanted e-commerce. I worked at night after my homework was done, on weekends when Caroline was at tennis lessons my parents paid for. By the time I graduated high school, I had $23,000 in a savings account my parents didn't know about. I told them I wanted to go to a state school for business. My father actually put his newspaper down. "Absolutely not," he said. "You'll go to the same women's college your mother and sister attended. We've already made the arrangements." I went. I studied English literature because that was acceptable. I joined the clubs my mother told me to join. I smiled in the family Christmas card. And at night, in my dorm room, I built my real education. Online courses in financial analysis, investment strategies, market behavior. My roommate freshman year was a girl named Sophie Chen. She was pre-med, brilliant, and the first person who ever asked me what I actually wanted to do with my life. We were studying in our room one November night when she said, "Why are you here?" I looked up from my Victorian poetry textbook. "What? You hate this," she said. "Every class, every assignment, I can see it on your face, so why are you here?" I told her the truth. About my parents, about Caroline, about the life I was supposed to want. Sophie closed her biology textbook. My parents wanted me to be a concert pianist. I was good, too, but I didn't want to be good at what they wanted. I wanted to be great at what I wanted. She was the first person who made me feel like I wasn't crazy. I graduated with honors in English literature. My parents came to the ceremony. My mother cried. My father shook my hand and said he was proud I had finally settled into something appropriate. I was managing 47 clients and clearing 6 figures a year by then. I moved to Boston after graduation. Told my parents I was working as an administrative assistant at a consulting firm. My mother said that sounded nice. My father asked if there were any young men at the office. My apartment was a 1-bedroom in Somerville. 700 square feet. The heating made a clicking sound all winter. I loved it. It was mine. The consulting firm where I supposedly worked as an assistant was actually my own company. I had incorporated it my senior year of college under a business name that didn't include my last name. I consulted for mid-size companies on digital transformation. Boring work, lucrative work, work nobody in my family would ever understand or ask about. I was 24 when I met James. He was a tax attorney. We met at a professional development seminar on estate planning. I was the youngest person in the room by at least a decade. He asked me to coffee afterward. We talked for 3 hours about optimal business structures and depreciation schedules. It was the best date I had ever been on. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony, just immediate family. My mother cried through the whole thing, but not the happy kind of crying. Afterward, at the reception, she pulled me aside. "You could have done better," she said. "James is nice, but he's not from the kind of family that would have really elevated you." James's father was a public school principal. His mother was a nurse. They were kind, generous people who treated me like I mattered. "I like his family," I said. My mother patted my hand. "Of course you do, dear." Caroline got engaged 6 months after my wedding, to a man named Brett whose family owned a chain of car dealerships. My parents threw them an engagement party that cost more than my entire wedding. I stood in the corner of the country club ballroom, 7 months pregnant, watching my mother give a toast about how Caroline had always known exactly what she wanted. James squeezed my hand. "We can leave." "Not yet," I said. I had learned something important about my family by then. If you left early, they talked about you. If you stayed and smiled, they forgot you were there. My daughter Emma was born on a Tuesday in March. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. My mother came to the hospital. She held Emma for exactly 4 minutes before handing her back. "She's lovely," my mother said. "Though she does have the Thompson nose, doesn't she?" The Thompson nose. My father sighed. The side of the family my mother had spent my entire childhood comparing me to unfavorably. Emma was 2 weeks old when Caroline's wedding happened. The ceremony was at the Episcopal Church, the reception at the yacht club, 400 guests, live band, flowers flown in from Ecuador. I wasn't in the wedding party. "You'll be so busy with the baby," Caroline had said when she announced her bridesmaids. I didn't want to burden you. All 4 of her college roommates were bridesmaids, her favorite cousin, 2 women she played tennis with. I sat in the 4th row during the ceremony. Emma slept in my arms. I watched my parents walk Caroline down the aisle, both of them crying, both of them beaming. Nobody looked at me once. At the reception, I sat at a table with James's parents and some distant cousins I had met once. The head table, where my parents sat with Caroline and Brett and the wedding party, was on a platform, literally elevated. My mother gave a speech about Caroline's grace and beauty and how she had always been destined for wonderful things. My father gave a speech about how proud he was to have raised such an accomplished daughter. Neither of them mentioned me. James's mother reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. That was the night I decided. Not consciously, not with a plan, but something shifted. I stopped waiting for them to see me. I went back to work when Emma was 3 months old. Hired a nanny named Patricia, who had raised 4 kids of her own, and knew more about babies than I ever would. My mother called it selfish. "That poor child needs her mother." "Patricia is wonderful," I said. "It's not the same," my mother said. "Caroline is planning to stay home with her children when she has them. That's what good mothers do." I was billing $200,000 a year by then. I said nothing. Caroline had her first baby when Emma was 2, a boy named Hunter. My mother bought them a house as a baby gift, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths in the same neighborhood where we grew up. "We wanted to help them start their lives together," my mother explained at Sunday dinner. "Young families need support." James and I had bought our own house the year before, a 3-bedroom colonial with good bones and a mortgage. My parents had not contributed. When Emma was 3, my company landed its first 7-figure contract. A financial services firm needed a complete digital overhaul. 18-month project, $1.4 million in fees. I took James to dinner at the nicest restaurant in Boston. We ordered champagne. "I'm proud of you," he said. I cried. He was the first person who had ever said that about my work. I didn't tell my parents about the contract. What was the point? They still thought I was an administrative assistant. Caroline had her second baby that year, a girl named Madison. My mother threw her a baby shower at the country club. 60 women, catered lunch, a gift table that looked like a small department store. I was invited. I went. I brought a handmade quilt I had commissioned from a woman in Vermont. It cost $400. My mother looked at it and said, "How crafty." Caroline's friend Brittany gave her a sterling silver baby brush set. My mother actually gasped with delight. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. Sat in the stall for 5 minutes. Came back smiling. If you have ever been counted out by someone who should have known better, you know exactly what that silence feels like. Emma started kindergarten the year I turned 32. She was bright, curious, loud in the way happy kids are loud. She asked questions constantly. She had opinions about everything. My mother called her spirited, which was my mother's word for difficult. You need to teach her to be more subdued, my mother said after Sunday dinner one week. Emma had been talking about a book she loved, something about dragons and girls who saved kingdoms. She's 5, I said. Caroline's children know how to behave in company. Hunter was 4. Madison was 2. They sat quietly at the table and ate what they were given and didn't interrupt when adults were speaking. Emma asked why the sky was blue and whether dragons could actually fly if they were real, and could she please have more green beans because she was still hungry. She's perfect, James said in the car on the way home. She was, but I knew my family would never see it. The beach house came up when I was 33. My parents announced it at Sunday dinner like it was a done deal. We found the most spectacular property, my mother said, right on the water in Cape Elizabeth. 4.2 million, but it's an investment, somewhere the whole family can gather for years to come. David, my younger brother, asked if they needed help with the down payment. He was a dentist, did well for himself. We have it handled, my father said, but we appreciate the thought. I calculated in my head. 4.2 million. They would need at least 800,000 down, probably more. My father was retired. My mother had never worked. They lived comfortably on his pension and investments, but I knew their assets. I had been tracking them for years, the way you track things that might someday matter. They didn't have 800,000 in liquid assets. I said nothing. 2 weeks later, my mother called. We need to discuss something, she said. Can you come by the house? I went that afternoon. My father was in his study. My mother sat across from his desk. I sat in the chair that used to be called the child's chair, the one where my siblings and I sat when we were in trouble. We're liquidating some assets, my father said. For the beach house purchase, your grandmother's trust will need to be partially dissolved. My grandmother had died when I was 28. She had left a trust, divided equally among her 3 grandchildren, Caroline, David, and me. How much are we talking about? I asked. Approximately 270,000 from each of you, my father said. The trust allows for this kind of distribution with majority consent. Who consented? Caroline and David have already agreed, my mother said. It's for the family. I did the math. 270,000 times 3 was 810,000, their down payment. What if I don't agree? I asked. My father looked at me the way you look at someone who just said something remarkably stupid. This is a family decision, he said. The beach house will belong to all of us. You'll have access whenever you want. I thought about Emma, about my mother calling her too spirited, about Sunday dinners where my daughter's joy was treated like a problem to be managed. I need to think about it, I said. My mother's mouth got very small. Caroline and David didn't need to think about it. They're better team players, my father added. I went home. I sat at my kitchen table. I opened my laptop. My company was worth $11 million by then. I had personally cleared just over $3 million in the previous 18 months. I owned commercial property in 2 states. I had investment accounts, retirement funds, Emma's education fully funded through graduate school. My parents thought I made $45,000 a year answering phones. I called my attorney the next morning. A woman named Patricia Reyes, who had handled my business incorporation and my estate planning and knew more about asset protection than anyone I had ever met. Can they do this? I asked. Force the trust distribution? Do you have a copy of the trust documents? I did. I had requested them years ago, right after my grandmother died. Read them cover to cover. Patricia was quiet for a long time after I sent them over. Then she said, "This is interesting." Interesting how? The trust requires unanimous consent for any distribution over $50,000 per beneficiary, not majority, unanimous. I felt something click into place. So if I say no, they can't touch it, Patricia said. Not without your signature. I thanked her, hung up, sat very still. I could say no, should say no. They had lied about the consent requirement. They had assumed I wouldn't check. But I didn't say no. I called my father that afternoon. I'll agree to the distribution, I said, on one condition. What condition? I wanted in writing that Emma has equal access to the beach house, same as Caroline's kids and David's kids when he has them. My father was quiet for a moment. Of course she'll have access. In writing, I said, in the property deed or a separate document, I don't care which, but I want it documented. You don't trust us? I want it in writing. He sighed the way you sigh at an unreasonable child. Fine. I'll have Gerald draw something up. Gerald drew it up. A simple addendum to the property deed. All grandchildren of Richard and Margaret Thompson shall have equal access to the property known as 4 Gull Point Road. I signed the trust distribution. $270,000 went from my grandmother's trust to my parents' account. They closed on the beach house in April. The first summer, we were invited once. 4th of July weekend. Caroline's family came for the whole week. David brought his new girlfriend. We got 3 days. Emma was 6. She ran on the beach, collected shells, shrieked with delight every time a wave came in. She's very energetic, my mother said on the second day. She's having fun, I said. Hunter and Madison know how to play quietly. I watched Hunter and Madison. They sat in the sand and made a castle with perfect walls and straight edges. They did not shriek. They did not run into the water uninvited. Emma ran past us, covered in sand and salt water, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. You really should teach her to modulate, my mother said. That night after Emma was asleep, I sat on the deck with James. We don't have to come back here, he said. Yes, we do, I said. I paid for 1/3 of this house. We're coming back. We were invited twice the second summer, once in June, once in August, 3 days each time. Caroline's family was there for 6 weeks total. Emma was 7. She learned to swim that summer. Spent hours in the water, diving for rocks, racing imaginary sharks. She's disturbing the other beachgoers, my mother said. There were no other beachgoers. It was a private beach. She's 7, I said. She needs to learn consideration. I smiled. I had a board meeting the following Tuesday where we would finalize the acquisition of a software company, $12 million deal. I said nothing about it. The 3rd summer, we were not invited at all. I called my mother in June. What week should we plan to come to the beach house? We're fully booked this summer, she said. Caroline's family is doing an extended stay. David and Melissa are coming in August. There's just no room. It's a 6-bedroom house. Well, everyone has children now. It's complicated. I have a child. My mother was quiet for a moment. Emma is welcome, of course, but we thought you and James might appreciate a quieter summer. You work so much. I understood. Emma could come, I could not. No, thank you, I said. We're a package deal. I hung up. I sat very still. James found me an hour later. What do you need? He asked. I need to make a phone call. I called Patricia Reyes. I want to know who actually owns the beach house, I said. Legal ownership. I want the deed, the mortgage documents, everything. Patricia called back the next day. You're on the deed, she said. You and your parents and your siblings, joint tenancy. What does that mean practically? It means you own an equal share. If the property were sold, you would be entitled to 25% of the proceeds after the mortgage is paid off. How much is the mortgage? $3.1 million. At current property values, the house is worth about $5.3 million. You would be entitled to approximately $550,000 if it sold tomorrow. I thanked her. Hung up. Then I did something I had been avoiding for years. I told my parents the truth. Not all of it. Not yet. Just enough to make them uncomfortable. I invited them to lunch, told them I had something to discuss. We met at a restaurant downtown, the kind with white tablecloths and wine lists that require reading glasses. My mother ordered a salad. My father ordered salmon. I ordered the steak. I need to tell you something about my career, I said after the drinks arrived. My father smiled. Got a promotion? I own the company, I said. I have for 11 years. I'm the CEO. We did just over $17 million in revenue last year. My mother set her fork down. My father opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. That's not possible, my mother said finally. I pulled out my phone, showed them the company website, my name at the top, Chief Executive Officer. You said you were an administrative assistant, my father said. I never said that. You assumed it. I let you. Why would you let us think? Because it was easier than watching you not believe me. My mother's hand went to her pearls. This is absurd. If you had that kind of money, we would have known. How? You never asked. You never visited my office. You never asked what I actually did all day. My father was shaking his head. If this is true, and I'm not saying it is, why are you telling us now? Because I paid for $270,000 of your beach house, I said, and my daughter isn't allowed to use it. That's not true, my mother said. Emma is always welcome. We weren't invited this summer, because she's disruptive. The word hung in the air between us. She's 8 years old, I said. She's happy, she's loud because she's having fun, and you banned her from a house I partially paid for because she has joy. My father was staring at me like I was a stranger. Even if what you're saying is true about your business, it is true. The beach house was a family investment. We all contributed. You contributed my money without asking me, I said. You lied about the consent requirements in the trust. You assumed I wouldn't check. My mother stood up. I don't have to listen to this. Yes, you do, I said, because I want you to hear what happens next. They both looked at me. I'm going to buy out your share of the beach house, I said. Mine, Caroline's, and David's share stay. Your share goes to me. I'll pay you fair market value. You can use that money however you want. But the house will belong to me and my siblings equally, and Emma will have the same access as every other grandchild. My father actually laughed. You can't afford that. I can afford it twice over, I said. I have the bank statements if you'd like to see them. My mother sat back down, slowly. Why are you doing this? She asked. Because you taught me that family takes care of family, I said. And then you taught me that I'm not really family unless I'm exactly who you wanted me to be. I left cash for my meal on the table, walked out. James was waiting in the car. How did it go? I think I just declared war, I said. Good, he said. I hired Patricia Reyes to handle the buyout. She drew up an offer. Fair market value for my parents' 25% share, $1.3 million. My father called 2 days after he received the paperwork. This is vindictive, he said. This is business, I said. You have 30 days to respond. We're not selling. Then we'll go to court. I'm a joint owner. I can force a partition sale. The house gets sold, we all split the proceeds, and nobody has a beach house, your choice. He hung up. My mother called the next day. How can you do this to us? I'm offering you $1.3 million, I said. Most people would say thank you. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me? I asked. It was not a rhetorical question. I genuinely wanted to know. She was quiet. You paid for the college you wanted me to attend, I said. You gave me a car with 170,000 miles on it. You let me sit at your table as long as I was quiet. What else? We raised you, she said. You raised Caroline, I said. I just happened to be there. She hung up. They hired their own lawyer. A man named Robert something who sent Patricia a letter explaining that the buyout offer was insulting and inappropriate and they would never agree to it. Patricia called me. Do you want to proceed with the partition suit? Not yet, I said. Let them sit with it for a while. I waited. 6 weeks passed. Then my mother called. We'll agree to the buyout, she said. But we need $2 million. The original offer was insultingly low. The original offer was fair market value based on 3 independent appraisals, I said. I'm not negotiating. Then we'll see you in court. Fine, I said. I meant it. I had enough money to tie this up in litigation for years if necessary. They did not. 3 weeks later, they accepted the original offer. The sale closed in October. $1.3 million transferred from my account to theirs. The deed was updated. The beach house now belonged to me, Caroline, and David in equal thirds. I called Caroline after the paperwork was finalized. You now own a third of the beach house directly, I said. No more going through Mom and Dad. I know, she said. Her voice was cold. Mom called me crying. I paid fair market value. You humiliated them. I enforced my property rights, I said. There's a difference. You always have to make everything difficult, Caroline said. I hung up. David called an hour later. What the hell did you do? I explained it. The buyout, the property rights, the fact that Emma had been banned. Emma wasn't banned, he said. Mom said she was too energetic for extended stays. Too energetic is too loud is too much is not welcome, I said. I know how this family translates. David was quiet for a long time. You really make $17 million a year? The company does. I personally clear about $3 million. Jesus, he said. Why didn't you ever tell us? Would you have believed me? He didn't answer. The beach house is now owned by the 3 of us equally, I said. We split the mortgage, we split the taxes, we split the maintenance. And all of our kids have equal access. That's all I wanted. Mom is devastated, he said. Mom is embarrassed, I said. There's a difference. I thought it was over. I really did. For 3 months there was peace. We split the winter maintenance costs 3 ways. Nobody fought, nobody called. Emma turned 9 in March. We had a party at our house, invited her whole class. My parents did not come. Are Grandma and Grandpa mad at me? Emma asked that night. My heart actually hurt. No, baby, they're not mad at you. Then why didn't they come? Because they're mad at me, I said. But that's not your fault, that's grown-up stuff. She nodded. She was too smart to fully believe me. April came. Time to start planning summer schedules for the beach house. I sent an email to Caroline and David. Suggested we each take 2 weeks, stagger them so there was no overlap, keep it simple. David responded within an hour. Sounds good. Melissa and I will take the first 2 weeks of July. Caroline responded 3 days later. I need to speak with you about the house. I called her. What's up? Hunter has sensory issues, she said. His therapist says he needs calm, quiet environments. I'm not sure it's going to work having Emma there at the same time. Emma isn't loud, I said. She's louder than Hunter can handle right now. Then take different weeks, I said. That's why I suggested staggered schedules. I need 6 weeks, Caroline said. Brett only gets 6 weeks of vacation a year. We want to spend all of it at the beach. You own a third of the house, I said. You get a third of the summer. That's 8 weeks if we're dividing it evenly, but I was being generous and suggesting 6 each. Mom and Dad always gave us the time we needed. Mom and Dad don't own the house anymore, I said. She hung up. 2 days later, I got a letter from Caroline's lawyer. Demand letter stating that Emma's behavioral issues created an unsafe environment for Caroline's children and requesting that Emma's access to the beach house be reevaluated. I read it 3 times, then I called Patricia Reyes. They're trying to ban my daughter from a property I partially own using fake medical claims, I said. Do you have documentation of Emma's actual behavior? Patricia asked. She's a normal 9-year-old, I said. She plays, she laughs, she swims. Get it in writing. From her teachers, her pediatrician, anyone who can attest to her temperament. I did. Emma's 3rd grade teacher wrote a letter describing her as energetic, kind, and well-behaved. Her pediatrician confirmed she had no behavioral or sensory issues. Her swim instructor called her a joy to teach. Patricia sent everything to Caroline's lawyer with a letter explaining that any further attempts to restrict Emma's access would result in a harassment suit. Caroline's lawyer did not respond. But my mother did. She showed up at my house on a Tuesday afternoon. I was working from home. Emma was at school. We need to talk, my mother said. I let her in, made coffee I didn't drink. You're tearing this family apart, she said. I enforced my property rights, I said. That's not tearing anything apart. You humiliated your father and me. You've turned Caroline against you. David doesn't know what to think. I told you the truth about my career and you called me a liar, I said. I bought you out of a house you couldn't afford and you called me vindictive. What exactly did you want me to do? We wanted you to be reasonable. I am being reasonable, I said. I paid fair market value. I offered generous scheduling. I documented that my daughter is not a behavioral problem. What part of that is unreasonable? My mother set her coffee cup down. You always had to be different, even when you were little. Always pushing, always questioning. Caroline understood how things worked. You never did. I understood perfectly, I said. I just didn't agree. She stood up. I hope you're happy with what you've done. I'm not happy, I said, but I'm not wrong either. She left. That night, James found me sitting in Emma's room, watching her sleep. You okay? He asked. I keep thinking about that teacher, I said. Ms. Evelyn, from when I was in 6th grade, do you remember me telling you about her? The one who told you that you were going to be something? Yeah, I smiled. She pulled me aside one day after class. I had just gotten a math test back, perfect score. My parents hadn't even looked at it. And Ms. Evelyn said, I don't know what you're building, but I can tell it's going to be something. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. Smart woman, James said. She was the first person who ever said that to me, I said. The first person who saw me. A lot of people see you now, James said. But my family still doesn't, I said. He sat down next to me. Maybe they never will. Maybe that's not actually about you. I knew he was right, but it still hurt. Summer came. We took our 2 weeks in August. Emma swam every day. Built sandcastles, found sea glass. My mother called the house phone while we were there. I didn't answer. She left a message. I just wanted you to know that Caroline is very hurt by your behavior. She's considering cutting off contact entirely. I hope you can live with that. I could live with that. What I couldn't live with was what happened in September. My father had a stroke. Mild, the doctor said. He would recover most of his function with therapy. I went to the hospital, brought flowers, sat with my mother in the waiting room. Thank you for coming, she said. He's my father, I said. David arrived an hour later. Caroline came that evening. We sat together in the waiting room, the 4 of us, not speaking. When the doctor came out and said my father was stable and asking for family, we all stood up. Just Margaret and Caroline, the nurse said. He specified. David looked at me, I looked at the floor. My mother and Caroline went back. David and I sat in the waiting room for another hour. I'm sorry, David said finally. It's fine, I said. It's not fine, he said. None of this is fine. We went home. James held me while I cried. My father recovered. Came home in October. Started physical therapy. I sent a card. Didn't visit. November came. Thanksgiving, my mother called. We're having dinner at the house, 4 o'clock. Caroline and Brett are coming, David and Melissa. We'd like you and James and Emma to join us. Will Dad be there? I asked. Of course. Does he want me there? My mother was quiet. He's your father. That's not what I asked. Please come, she said. It's been long enough. I talked to James. We decided to go. For Emma, we told ourselves, so she could see her grandparents. We arrived at 3:55. Caroline's Mercedes was already in the driveway, David's Lexus next to it. My mother answered the door. You came? We said we would, I said. Emma ran to hug her grandmother. My mother hugged her back, but it was the kind of hug you give someone else's child. Polite, brief. My father was in the living room, in his recliner, the one he'd sat in my entire childhood. He looked smaller than I remembered. Hi, Dad, I said. He nodded, didn't speak. Caroline was in the kitchen with my mother. I could hear them talking, laughing about something. David pulled me aside. He's still recovering. The speech therapy is helping, but he's embarrassed about how he sounds. I understand, I said. Dinner was tense. Emma sat between James and me. Hunter and Madison sat with Caroline and Brett. David and Melissa tried to keep conversation going. My mother asked about school. Emma told her about her science project. She was building a volcano. How creative, my mother said in the same tone she had used for my wedding quilt. After dinner, Caroline stood up. Mom, Dad, we have some news. Everyone looked at her. Brett got promoted, she said. Regional director, we're moving to Connecticut. My mother actually squealed. Hugged Caroline, hugged Brett, my father smiled. Proud of you, son. They toasted with wine. Caroline glowed. I sat very still. Nobody asked about my company. Nobody asked about the acquisition we had just closed or the new office we were opening in Chicago. I had 3 employees now who made more than Brett's new salary. I said nothing about it. We left at 7. Emma fell asleep in the car. That was awful, James said. That was my family, I said. December came. Holiday cards arrived. Caroline's family in matching sweaters. David and Melissa in front of a Christmas tree. My parents' card showed just the 2 of them. We sent our own card, the 3 of us on the beach from last summer. Emma mid-laugh, hair wet from swimming. I didn't hear from my parents about it. January arrived, my birthday. I turned 35. My mother sent a card. Inside was a gift certificate to a spa, $50. Caroline posted on social media about her birthday in March. My parents had thrown her a surprise party, 40 people, catered dinner, a bracelet from Tiffany. I closed the app. That night, Patricia Reyes called. I have something you need to see. What is it? Your parents filed a quiet title action on the beach house. I sat up. What does that mean? They're trying to claim sole ownership, arguing that the buyout was done under duress and should be voided. That's insane, I said. We have all the paperwork, 3 independent appraisals. Their lawyer approved everything. I know, Patricia said. This won't go anywhere legally, but it tells you something. What? They're not done fighting. She was right. The quiet title action was dismissed within 6 weeks. The judge didn't even require a hearing. But 2 days after the dismissal, I got another letter. This time from all 3 of them, my mother, Caroline, and David. They were requesting a family meeting to discuss the future of family assets and relationships. I called David. Did you actually sign this letter? Caroline wrote it, he said. But yeah, I signed it. We need to talk about this. The beach house thing is tearing everyone apart. I didn't tear anything apart, I said. I enforced my rights as a co-owner. Can you just come to the meeting? He asked. Please, I agreed. For reasons I still don't fully understand, I agreed. The meeting was scheduled for March 15th, at my parents' house, 4 o'clock. I brought Patricia with me. My mother answered the door, looked at Patricia. This is a family meeting. Patricia is my attorney, I said. If we're discussing property and assets, she should be present. My mother's mouth got very small, but she let us in. Everyone was already there. My father in his recliner. Caroline and Brett on the couch. David and Melissa in chairs from the dining room. There were only 2 seats left. Patricia and I sat. Thank you for coming, my mother began. She had papers in her lap. We wanted to discuss a family trust, something that would preserve our assets for future generations. I waited. Your father and I have been working with an estate attorney, my mother continued. We think the best solution is to put the beach house and other family assets into a trust. We would be the trustees during our lifetime. After we pass, Caroline would take over as trustee. Why Caroline? I asked. She's the oldest, my mother said. By 18 months, I said. She's also the most stable, my father added. His speech was slow, careful, most committed to family unity. I looked at Patricia. She was writing everything down. What are the terms of this trust? I asked. My mother handed me papers. I read them. The beach house would be placed in the trust. My parents would have lifetime access. After they died, Caroline, as trustee, would have full discretion over access and use, which meant Caroline could ban Emma anytime she wanted. No, I said. You haven't heard all the benefits, my mother said. I don't need to, I said. I own a third of that house directly. I'm not giving up that ownership so Caroline can control it. This is exactly the problem, Caroline said. You can't think about anyone but yourself. I'm thinking about my daughter, I said, who you tried to ban using fake medical claims. Hunter's therapist said. I read what Hunter's therapist actually said, I interrupted. She said Hunter does better in calm environments. She did not say other children should be excluded. You added that part yourself. Brett stood up. I don't think we should. Sit down, Caroline said. He sat. This family is falling apart because of you, my mother said to me. Your selfishness, your need to always be different. My need to be treated fairly, I said. You were always treated fairly, my father said. I stood up. Patricia stood with me. When Caroline needed a car, you bought her an Audi, I said. You gave me a car with 170,000 miles. When Caroline got married, you spent 40,000 on her wedding. Mine cost 8,000 and you complained about the expense. When Caroline had children, you bought her a house. When I had Emma, you visited the hospital for 4 minutes. That's not, my mother started. When Caroline's kids come to Sunday dinner, you tell them they're perfect. When Emma comes, you call her disruptive. When Caroline got promoted at a job that pays $60,000 a year, you threw her a party. When I built a company worth $17 million, you called me a liar. The room was very quiet. You want me to sign my property rights over to Caroline so she can treat my daughter the way you've treated me for my entire life, I said. Is that about right? My mother was shaking her head. You're twisting everything. I'm stating facts, I said. I walked to the door. Patricia followed. If you leave now, you're not welcome back, my mother said. I turned. I was never welcome to begin with. We left. In the car, Patricia said, that was impressive. That was necessary, I said. James was waiting when I got home. Emma was at a friend's house. How bad? He asked. I told him everything. What do you want to do? He asked. I want them to know exactly what they lost, I said. And that's when I started planning. Not revenge, I want to be clear about that. What I planned was disclosure, truth, the full, documented, irrefutable truth. I spent the next month gathering everything. Financial records from my company, property deeds, investment statements, Emma's school records and doctor's notes, letters from teachers, every email my mother had ever sent me, every text message from Caroline. Patricia helped me organize it all. What exactly are you planning to do with this? She asked. I don't know yet, I said, but I want it ready. My father died in May, peacefully in his sleep. The stroke had weakened his heart more than anyone realized. I found out from David. He called me at 6 in the morning. Dad's gone, he said. I sat down on my kitchen floor. James found me there 20 minutes later. The funeral was 3 days later. I went, wore black, sat in the back. The minister talked about my father's dedication to family, his love for his children, his pride in their accomplishments. Caroline gave a eulogy, talked about what a wonderful father he had been, how he had always supported her dreams. David spoke, said my father had taught him integrity. Nobody asked me to speak. At the reception afterward, people I hadn't seen in years came up to me. Your father was so proud of you, they said. I smiled, said thank you. My mother stood by the casket, greeting mourners. Caroline next to her, David next to Caroline. I stood alone by the door. An older woman approached me. It took me a moment to recognize her. Ms. Evelyn, I said. I heard about your father, she said. I'm so sorry. Thank you for coming. She looked at me carefully. How are you really? I don't know, I said. She squeezed my hand. You were always going to be something. I hope you remember that. I do, I said. Every day. She left. I stood there for a moment longer. Then I went home. The will reading was scheduled for 3 weeks later. My mother called to tell me. Her voice was formal, distant. Gerald will be handling the estate. 2 o'clock on June 4th, the house. I'll be there, I said. Patricia can't come, my mother said. Family only. Patricia is my attorney. If you're reading a will that affects my interests, she should be present. It's not appropriate. Then I'll see you in probate court, I said. My mother hung up. Patricia came to the will reading. We arrived at 1:55. Gerald was already there, setting up papers on the dining room table. My mother sat at the head of the table, Caroline next to her, David across from them. Patricia and I sat at the far end. Gerald began, standard legal language, sound mind, last will and testament. My father had left everything to my mother. The house, the retirement accounts, the investments, no specific bequests to his children. We would inherit from my mother eventually. Are there any questions? Gerald asked when he finished. Just one, I said. Everyone looked at me. I reached into my bag, pulled out a folder. I want everyone in this room to know that the beach house was purchased with my money, Gerald blinked. I'm sorry. The down payment came from my grandmother's trust, $270,000 from each of us. My parents told me the trust required majority consent. It didn't. It required unanimous consent. They lied. My mother's hand went to her pearls. I signed anyway, I continued, because I thought I was helping my family, but then my daughter was banned from the property I helped pay for, so I bought out my parents' share, $1.3 million, fair market value based on 3 independent appraisals. I slid the folder across the table to Gerald. Everything is in there. The original trust documents showing the unanimous consent requirement. The false representation my parents made. Purchase documents for the beach house, the buyout paperwork, all of it. Gerald opened the folder, started reading. The beach house is not part of my father's estate, I said. It hasn't been for almost 2 years. It belongs to me, Caroline, and David equally. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that before we started talking about inheritances. The room was very quiet. Caroline looked at my mother. You told me the buyout was illegal. It was done under duress, my mother said. No, I said. It was done under contract law with 3 independent appraisals and both parties represented by counsel. Gerald can confirm that. Gerald looked up from the papers. These documents appear to be in order. This is humiliating, my mother whispered. This is truth, I said. I stood up. Patricia stood with me. I don't want anything from Dad's estate, I said. You can split it between Caroline and David. But I want everyone in this room to know that I didn't ask for handouts. I didn't wait for inheritance. I built something myself, and when my family needed money for a beach house, I gave it. And when my family tried to exclude my daughter from that beach house, I fought back. My mother was crying, not the sad kind of crying, the angry kind. You've always been cruel, she said. I've always been honest, I said. There's a difference. Patricia and I walked to the door. Wait, David said. I turned. Is all of that true? About the trust and the consent? Read the documents, I said. It's all there. I left. In the car, Patricia said her lawyer dropped everything. What? Gerald, when you said that about the beach house actually being bought with your money, he dropped his pen, just dropped it. I smiled, first time in weeks. What happens now? Patricia asked. Now, I said, they know the truth. And that was when everything changed. I drove home in silence. Patricia offered to come in, make sure I was okay. I told her I needed to be alone. That was a lie. I needed to work. James was waiting in the kitchen. How are you? I'm fine. You're not fine. I set my bag down, opened my laptop. I need to make some calls. He watched me for a moment. Then he kissed the top of my head and left me alone. I called my business partner first. A woman named Andrea Chen who had started as my employee and become my equal. We had built the second half of the company together. I need to accelerate the Chicago expansion, I told her. That's 6 months ahead of schedule. I know. What happened? I told her about the will reading, the folder of documents, my mother's face. Andrea was quiet for a long moment. Do you want my honest opinion? Always. You just declared war on your family. You need to be ready for them to fight back. I am ready. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you just told them you're worth millions. They're going to want a piece of that. She was right. I knew she was right. So what do? You make yourself untouchable, Andrea responded. Every asset protected, every contract airtight, every possible angle covered. I spent the next 3 days doing exactly that. Patricia helped me create a family trust for Emma, irrevocable. James and I were the trustees. My parents couldn't touch it. Neither could Caroline or David. I moved assets around, put the commercial properties in an LLC. Restructured the company's ownership to make my personal shares harder to access. You're building a fortress, Patricia observed during one of our meetings. I'm building protection. From your own family. Yes, she made a note on her legal pad. When this is over, you should talk to someone. A therapist, I mean. When this is over, I agreed, but I didn't think it would ever really be over. Emma's 10th birthday came in June. We threw a party at our house. 23 kids, a bounce house, a woman who made balloon animals. My mother called that morning. I assume we're not invited. You're invited, I replied. 4 o'clock. Caroline won't come if we come. Then Caroline doesn't have to come. My mother hung up. Nobody from my family came to the party. Not my mother, not Caroline, not David. But Ms. Evelyn came. She was 78 now, retired, living in a small apartment near the library. I had invited her on impulse, not expecting her to actually show up. She arrived at 4:15 with a wrapped present and a warm smile. Is Evelyn? Emma ran to hug her. Happy birthday, sweetheart. She handed Emma the present. It was a book, something about a girl who built a rocket ship. Later, while the kids played, Ms. Evelyn and I sat on the back deck. Your mother didn't come, she noted. No, I'm sorry. Don't be, I said. She made her choice. Ms. Evelyn looked at me carefully. I've known your family a long time, taught all three of you. Caroline was always easy. David was sweet, but you were the one I remembered. Why? Because you asked questions nobody else asked. You wanted to know why things worked the way they worked. You didn't just accept the world as it was handed to you. I felt tears starting, blinked them back. I'm proud of you, Ms. Evelyn continued. I don't know what you've built exactly, but I know it's something remarkable. Thank you, I managed. She squeezed my hand. Don't let them take that away from you. After the party, after the guests left, after Emma went to bed exhausted and happy, James found me cleaning up wrapping paper. Good party. Yeah, your mom really didn't come. Nope. He started helping me clean. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, I admitted. But Andrea was right. They're going to come for me now. I need to be ready. The first attempt came 3 weeks later. Caroline called. Her voice was syrup sweet, the way it got when she wanted something. I've been thinking about what you said. At the will reading, I waited. Maybe I was too harsh about Emma, about the beach house. Maybe you were. I'd like to make it up to you. Brett and I are planning a family weekend at the house in August. We'd love for you and Emma to come. I pulled up my calendar, checked the beach house schedule David and I had agreed to. August is your designated time, I pointed out. You don't need my permission to invite us. I know, but I wanted to extend the olive branch personally. Something felt wrong. Caroline didn't do olive branches. Let me check with James, I hedged. Of course, just let me know by next week. I'm planning meals. She hung up. I called Patricia immediately. She invited you to the beach house during her scheduled time? Yes, and you find that suspicious because Caroline has spent the last year trying to keep Emma away from that house. Now suddenly she wants us there? Patricia was quiet. What do you think she's planning? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I called David that night. Did Caroline talk to you about a family weekend in August? Yeah, she mentioned it, said she wanted everyone together. Mom's still pretty upset about the will reading thing. Is Mom going to be there? I think that's the point. She wants us all together so we can, I don't know, heal or whatever. And you believe that? David sighed. I don't know what I believe anymore, but would it kill you to try? For the family? I hung up without answering. James found me staring at my phone. What's wrong? Caroline invited us to the beach house. Everyone's going to be there, including Mom, so don't go. If I don't go, they'll say I'm being difficult, that I'm the one tearing the family apart. You are being difficult, James pointed out, and they are tearing things apart. Both can be true. I thought about it for 2 days, then I called Caroline back. We'll come. Really? She sounded genuinely surprised. Really? What weekend in August? The second weekend, Friday through Sunday, I made a note. We'll be there Friday evening. Wonderful, I'm so glad we're doing this. She hung up. I called Patricia. I'm going to the beach house weekend. Why? Because I need to know what they're planning, and the only way to know is to be there. You realize this could be a trap. I'm counting on it. The next 6 weeks were carefully orchestrated. I didn't just prepare for the beach weekend. I prepared for everything that might come after. Patricia and I created what she called a disclosure package. Every significant financial document related to my business, organized and ready, every property deed, every contract, everything that proved what I had built and when. Why are we doing this? I asked during one late-night session in her office. Because if they're planning something, you need to be able to prove the truth immediately. Not in 3 weeks after we gather documents. Immediately, I also started documenting everything. Every phone call with Caroline got logged with date, time, and summary, every interaction with my mother, every conversation with David. Andrea noticed, you're building a legal case. I'm protecting myself. From what? I don't know yet, but when I find out, I'm going to be ready. The Tuesday before the beach weekend, my mother called. Caroline tells me you're coming to the house. That's right. I'm glad. I've missed you. The words sounded right, but her tone was off, too practiced, like she had rehearsed. I've missed you too, Mom. We need to discuss some things about your father's estate. There are some complications. What kind of complications? We can talk about it at the beach, all of us together. She hung up before I could ask more questions. I called Patricia immediately. She said complications with the estate. What does that mean? It could mean anything. Your father's estate was straightforward. House to your mother, retirement accounts to your mother. Nothing complicated. So she's lying, or she's been misinformed, or someone is planning something. I can't tell you which without more information. I made a decision. I want you on call that weekend. If something happens, I need to be able to reach you immediately. I'll be available. That Thursday, the day before we were supposed to leave for the beach, Ms. Evelyn called. I hope you don't mind. Emma gave me your number at the party. Of course not. Is everything okay? I wanted to tell you something. I probably should have said it years ago. I waited. Your mother came to see me once, when you were in 8th grade. She asked me to recommend you for the standard track instead of honors, said you weren't academically inclined like Caroline. I sat down slowly. I told her no. I told her you were one of the brightest students I'd ever taught. She was very angry. Why are you telling me this now? Because I heard through the grapevine that your family is upset with you, and I wanted you to know that you didn't imagine it, the way they treated you differently. It was real. It was always real. My throat felt tight. Thank you. Be careful with them, dear. People who spent that long making you small won't like it when you grow. We left for the beach house Friday at 3. Emma was excited. She loved the ocean, loved the house despite everything. Are Grandma and Grandpa going to be there? She asked from the back seat. Grandma will be, I answered. Grandpa died, remember? I know, but is Grandma going to be nice? James and I looked at each other. I hope so, I told her. We arrived at 6. Caroline's Mercedes was already in the driveway, David's Lexus next to it, my mother's Cadillac in the garage. The house looked the same as always. Gray shingles, white trim, ocean stretching out behind it. Caroline opened the door. You made it, she hugged me. Actually hugged me. I hugged her back and tried to figure out what was happening. Inside, the house smelled like someone had been cooking. My mother was in the kitchen with David's wife Melissa. David was on the deck with Brett. Emma, my mother came over, bent down. Look how big you've got. Emma smiled uncertainly. Why don't you go explore? I suggested. Find your room. She ran off, glad to escape. My mother straightened, looked at me. Can we talk, just the family? James is family. I meant the 4 of us. You, me, Caroline, David. James squeezed my hand. I'll help Emma unpack. He left. I followed my mother, Caroline, and David into the living room. We sat. The arrangement felt deliberate, my mother in the armchair. Caroline and David on the couch, me in the single chair across from them, like an intervention. We wanted to talk about moving forward, my mother opened. After everything that's happened. I waited. Your father's death was hard on all of us, Caroline added. I think we all said and did things we regret. What do you regret? I asked her directly. She blinked. I regret the way I handled the beach house situation. With Emma, I was stressed about Hunter's needs and I took it out on you. Okay. I'd like to make amends, she went on. I think we should restructure the beach house ownership, make it more equitable. There it was. How would that work? I asked. David jumped in. We were thinking we could put it in a trust. All 3 of us as co-trustees, equal say in everything. I already own a third. Equal say is what I already have. But the mortgage, Caroline explained, it's in Mom and Dad's names. Now it's in Mom's name alone. She's having trouble with the payments. I looked at my mother. Is that true? Your father's pension was reduced after he died. The survivor benefit is only 60%. I'm managing, but it's tight. So you want me to pay more of the mortgage? We want all of us to contribute equally, David corrected. Caroline and I are willing to increase our payments. We're just asking you to do the same. I did the math in my head. The mortgage payment was probably around $11,000 a month. Split 3 ways, that was about $3,700 each. How much are you paying now? I asked. Caroline and David looked at each other. About $1,000 each, David admitted. So you want to nearly quadruple your payments and you want me to start paying $3,700 a month for a house I use 2 weeks a year? When you put it that way, Caroline started. Is there another way to put it? My mother leaned forward. We're asking you to help your family. You clearly have the resources. You made that very clear at the will reading. And there it was, the real reason for this weekend. Let me think about it, I replied. What's there to think about? Caroline's voice had an edge now. Whether I want to pay 37% of a mortgage for a property I own 33% of. We're family, David said quietly. Doesn't that matter? I stood up. I'm going to check on Emma. I found her in the bedroom she always stayed in. James was helping her arrange stuffed animals on the bed. How'd it go? He asked quietly. They want me to pay most of the beach house mortgage. Are you going to? I don't know yet. That night at dinner, everyone was aggressively pleasant. Caroline had made lasagna. My mother brought out the good wine. David told jokes. Emma sat between James and me, eating quietly, watching all the adults with careful eyes. So Emma, my mother addressed her directly. How's school? Good, I got an A on my science project. The volcano, I added. How wonderful. Caroline's Madison is doing very well in school too. Straight A's. Emma's smile faltered slightly. After dinner, after Emma was in bed, I went out to the deck. The ocean was loud in the dark. David found me there 20 minutes later. Hey, I'm sorry about earlier, the mortgage thing. Caroline kind of ambushed you. Kind of. He leaned against the railing. Can I ask you something? Sure. Is it true, what you said at the will reading, about the 17 million? Yes. How did you do it? I looked at him, really looked at him. David had always been the sweet one, the one who stayed out of the conflict between Caroline and me. I built a company, I worked hard. I got lucky with timing. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? He thought about that. Probably not. That's why. He was quiet for a long time. Then, are you going to help with the mortgage? I don't know. Are you really willing to pay $3,000 a month for this place? No, he admitted. Caroline said we'd figure it out later, that the important thing was getting you to commit. I turned to face him fully. David, what's really going on this weekend? He wouldn't look at me. Mom's in trouble, financially. Dad had some debts nobody knew about. The estate is complicated. She needs money. How much money? I don't know exactly, but enough that she's scared. And Caroline thinks I should just hand it over. Caroline thinks you owe it to the family, after everything. After everything, I repeated. You mean after I built a business you all ignored? After I paid for a third of this house and got banned? After Mom called my daughter disruptive and Caroline tried to exclude her with fake medical claims? That everything? David flinched. I know it's been bad, but she's our mother. She stopped being my mother a long time ago, I said. She just didn't notice. I went inside. The next morning, my mother asked me to go for a walk on the beach, just the two of us. I agreed. We walked in silence for a while. The sand was cool, still wet from high tide. I need to tell you something, she started. Your father made some investments before he died. They didn't work out, there are debts. How much? $400,000. I stopped walking. $400,000 in debt. He was trying to grow our retirement. He invested with a friend. It was supposed to be guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. I know that now. She looked at me, really looked at me. I need your help. There it was, the real test. What kind of help? A loan, I'll pay you back. Once the estate settles, once I sell some things. What things? The house, maybe. I don't know, I just need time. I thought about test one, the soft ask, the easy thing. Patricia had warned me about this. I can give you $50,000, I offered. Not a loan, a gift for immediate expenses. I need more than that. $50,000 is what I can do right now. Her jaw tightened. You just said your company made $17 million last year. The company made that, not me personally. Don't play games with me. You have money. I need money. We're family. If I give you $400,000, what happens when there's another debt, another emergency? There won't be. You don't know that. She stopped walking, turned to face me fully. I raised you. I fed you. I clothed you. I paid for your education. And now when I need help, you're going to nickel and dime me? You gave Caroline a car that cost $43,000. You gave me a car with 170,000 miles. That's not relevant. You threw Caroline a wedding that cost more than my entire first year of business revenue. You complained about paying for my rehearsal dinner. You're being petty. I'm being accurate. She started walking again, faster now. I was wrong about you. Your father was right. You're selfish. Something in me cracked. When did Dad say that? What? When did Dad say I was selfish? Give me a specific time. She kept walking. Was it when I was 16 and said I wanted to study finance? Was it when I graduated with honors? Was it when Emma was born? When? It doesn't matter. It matters to me. She stopped. It was after you bought us out of the beach house. He said you did it out of spite, out of selfishness, that you couldn't stand not being the center of attention. I felt it like a physical blow. I did it because you banned my daughter from a property I paid for. We never banned her. You told me she was too disruptive, too loud, that she made Hunter uncomfortable. You invited Caroline's family for 6 weeks and gave me zero. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened. I have the emails. She looked at me sharply. What emails? Every email you sent me about the beach house. Every text from Caroline, I have all of it. You're documenting our conversations? I'm protecting myself. She shook her head, turned back toward the house. I was wrong to ask you for help. You've made it very clear where your loyalties are. She walked away. I stood there on the beach for a long time. The waves came in and went out. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. How's it going? Test 1 complete, I typed back. She failed. I walked back to the house slowly. Gave myself time to think. Test 1 had been the soft ask. 50,000 versus 400,000. She had refused the smaller amount. Demanded the larger one. Made it about loyalty instead of need. That told me everything I needed to know about test 2. Inside, Caroline was making breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, fresh fruit arranged on a platter. "Where's Mom?" she asked when I came in. "Walking." "Did you two talk?" "We did. And I offered to help. She said it wasn't enough." Caroline flipped a pancake with more force than necessary. "How much did you offer?" "That's between me and Mom. This is family business. We all have a right to know." I poured myself coffee. "Do I have a right to know how much debt Dad left?" She didn't answer. David came down the stairs. "Morning." "Morning," I echoed. We ate breakfast together. Emma chattered about wanting to swim later. Brett talked about work. Melissa showed us pictures of a house they were thinking of buying, normal family breakfast, except nothing was normal. After breakfast, I found James in our room. "We need to leave tomorrow instead of Sunday," I said quietly. "Why?" "Because test 2 is coming and I need to control when and how it happens." "What's test 2? "I'm going to tell them something true, something small, and I'm going to watch how they react." That afternoon, we all sat on the deck. Emma and the other kids were down at the beach with Brett, building an elaborate sand castle. I waited until everyone was settled. Then I said, casually, "I'm opening a new office in Chicago next month." Caroline looked up from her magazine. "For your company?" "Yes, how big?" "About 4,500 square feet. We're hiring 8 people to start." David whistled. "That's a big expansion." "It's time." I sipped my wine. "The Midwest market has been underserved." My mother, who had been quiet all afternoon, finally spoke. "How much does something like that cost?" "The lease is about $19,000 a month. Build out and equipment probably another $300,000. Caroline set her magazine down. "That's a lot of money to risk." "It's an investment." "Still," she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "If you have that kind of cash to invest in an office, surely you could help Mom with her situation." There it was. The office is a business expense. It generates revenue. "Family is more important than revenue," my mother stated. "If that's true," I replied carefully, "why did you tell everyone at the hospital that Dad only wanted to see you and Caroline, not me or David?" Silence. "That was different," my mother finally managed. "How?" "He was recovering. He couldn't handle stress. And I'm stressful. You had just humiliated us with that beach house situation. Yes, you were stressful." I nodded slowly. "So when Dad was dying, family was important enough to exclude me, but now that you need money, family is important enough to include me." Caroline stood up. "That's not fair. Isn't it? You're twisting everything." "I'm stating facts." I stood too. "Test 2 is what I call this. I tell you something true about my life, something good, and instead of being happy for me, you immediately calculate how it affects you." "Test 2, my mother's voice was sharp. "What's test 1? "This morning on the beach, I offered you $50,000. You rejected it and demanded $400,000. You failed." "Failed?" "The test. I wanted to see if you actually needed help or if you just saw an opportunity to take from me." Caroline moved toward me. "You set Mom up." "I gave her a choice, she made it." "This is sick," David added. "Testing your own family." "You've been testing me my whole life," I shot back. "Every time you compared me to Caroline, every time you forgot I existed, every time you dismissed what I built. Those were tests too, I just finally decided to grade them." My mother stood. Her face was pale. "Get out of my house." "Your house?" I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "I own 33% of this property." "I'm not going anywhere." "Then we're leaving." She looked at Caroline and David. "Pack up, we're done here." Caroline grabbed her purse. David looked between us uncertain. "David," my mother snapped. He followed her inside. I sat back down, picked up my wine glass with a hand that shook slightly. James came out onto the deck. "What just happened?" "Test 2, I murmured. "They failed that one too." Within an hour, they were gone, all of them, cars pulling out of the driveway one by one. Emma came up from the beach. "Where's everyone going?" "They had to leave early," James told her. "Because of me?" "No, baby, because of grown-up stuff." She looked at me. "Are you sad?" I pulled her into a hug. "A little, but not about what you think." That night, after Emma was asleep, I sat on the deck and called Patricia. 2 tests done," I reported. "1 more to go." "What's the 3rd test?" "I'm going to give them what they think they want. I'm going to offer to pay off all of Mom's debt." "Why would you do that?" "Because I need to see what they do with it. Whether they take it gratefully or whether they take it and still find a way to make me the villain. I need to know if this is about money or if it's about something deeper. And if it's deeper, then I stop hoping they'll change and I move forward accordingly." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "That's going to hurt." "It already hurts. This way at least I'll know." We stayed at the beach through Sunday, just the 3 of us. Emma swam and collected shells and built sandcastles without anyone telling her she was too loud. Monday morning, we drove home. I spent the week preparing test 3. Patricia helped me draft a letter. Simple, direct, an offer to pay the $400,000 in debt. No strings attached, a gift, not a loan. "You're sure about this?" she asked. "I'm sure I need to know. What if they just take the money? Then I'll know they see me as a bank, not a daughter. And if they take it and still blame you for everything, then I'll know it was never about the money." I sent the letter on Thursday. Certified mail, signature required. My mother signed for it Friday afternoon. She called Saturday morning. "I got your letter. And $400,000, just like that. Just like that." She was quiet for a long time. "Why?" "Because despite everything, you're my mother, and I don't want you to lose your house." "I don't understand you." "I know. If you were willing to give me this money, why did we have to fight about it? Because I needed to know if you were asking because you needed help or because you thought I owed you. Those are the same thing." "No," I replied softly, "they're really not." She hung up. I waited. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. On day 4, I got a call from David. "Mom deposited the check." "Good." "Caroline is furious." "Why?" "Because she thinks you're trying to buy your way back into the family. Make everyone forget how you've behaved." I laughed, couldn't help it. "I gave Mom $400,000 to save her house and Caroline thinks I'm the one behaving badly? She thinks you're manipulating everyone, making yourself look good." "What do you think?" David sighed. "I think I don't understand why you did it. After everything Mom said to you, after the beach house, after Dad didn't want to see you in the hospital, why would you still help her?" "Because I needed to know if any of them would say thank you, if any of them would acknowledge that maybe they were wrong about me. And Mom deposited the check without saying thank you. Caroline called me manipulative. What do you think I learned?" He didn't answer. I hung up. That night I sat in my home office, opened a document on my computer, started typing. Evidence log, test 3, date, time, summary. James found me there at 11 at night. "You're documenting the tests." "I'm documenting everything." "Why?" "Because when this is over, I want to remember exactly how it happened, not my emotional memory, the actual facts." He read over my shoulder. Test 1 offered $50,000, rejected. Test 2 shared business success, immediately weaponized. Test 3 gave $400,000, no acknowledgement. That's what happened. What happens now? I closed the laptop, looked at him. Now I stop testing. I know everything I need to know. Which is, they will never see me as anything other than a source of money or a source of disappointment. There's no middle ground where I'm just their daughter or their sister. So what do you do with that information? I thought about Ms. Evelyn, about what she had said. People who spent that long making you small won't like it when you grow. "I stop making myself small," I replied. "I stop hoping they'll change, and I protect myself and Emma from them." "How?" "I don't know yet, but I have everything I need. Every email, every conversation, every test and every failure. When the time comes, I'll be ready." James kissed my forehead. "I'm proud of you." I started to cry. "Why?" "Because most people never stop hoping their family will change. They spend their whole lives waiting for people to see them. You're not waiting anymore." He was right. I wasn't. 3 weeks later, my mother called. "We need to have a family meeting." "About what?" "About moving forward, about healing these rifts." "Mom, I gave you $400,000 3 weeks ago. You never said thank you. What rifts are you trying to heal?" "That's what I want to talk about, all of us together." "When?" "Next Saturday, 2 o'clock, the house." "Your house or the beach house?" "My house." I agreed, hung up, immediately called Patricia. "They want another family meeting. After you just gave them $400,000. "Yes, what do you think they want?" "I think they want more, or they want to establish control, or both." "Are you going?" "Yes, but you're coming with me, and I'm recording everything." "Recording might not be legal depending on the state. I don't care about legal admissibility. I care about having an accurate record of what gets said." Patricia hesitated. Then, "Okay, I'll be there." That Saturday, I dressed carefully, professional but not showy. Black pants, cream blouse, simple jewelry. Patricia met me in the driveway of my mother's house. She wore a gray suit and carried her leather portfolio. "Ready?" she asked. "No, but let's go anyway." My mother answered the door. Her eyes went to Patricia. "I told you family only." "Patricia is my attorney. If we're having a meeting about family business, she should be present. This isn't a legal matter." "Then you won't mind if she takes notes." My mother's mouth pressed into a thin line, but she stepped aside. Inside, Caroline and David were already there. Brett and Melissa were absent, just the 4 of them. We sat, same arrangement as before, them on one side, me on the other. "Thank you for coming," my mother opened. "We wanted to discuss the path forward for our family." I waited. Caroline took over. We've been talking about Dad's death, about the conflicts we've had, about the beach house and the money and all of it. Still waiting. We think the best thing for everyone would be to create a family charter, David added, something that establishes how we handle money and property and decision-making going forward. I looked at Patricia. She was writing everything down, her face carefully neutral. What kind of charter? I asked. My mother pulled out papers, actual typed papers. We had Gerald draw something up, just a framework. It establishes a family council. The four of us, equal votes on major decisions. Major decisions about what? The beach house, any inheritance, family loans or gifts above a certain amount. I took the papers, read them slowly. They were clever. On the surface, everything looked equal. 4 votes, majority rule for most decisions, unanimous consent for property sales. But buried in Section 7, subsection 3, there was a clause. Any family member who had benefited from family gifts or loans in excess of $100,000 in the previous year was required to recuse themselves from financial votes for a period of 12 months. My mother had just received $400,000 from me. Under this charter, she couldn't vote on financial matters for a year, which meant Caroline, David, and I would vote on everything. And Caroline and David would outvote me every single time. I set the papers down. No, you haven't even read it all, Caroline objected. I read enough. Section 7, subsection 3, you're trying to use the money I gave Mom to exclude her from voting, which means you and David control everything. That's not the intent, that's exactly the intent. I stood. You designed this entire charter around the assumption that I would sign it without reading it carefully. My mother looked genuinely confused. Why will we do that? Because you still think I'm stupid. You still think I'm the girl who went to the college you picked and studied what you wanted and never asked questions. I picked up the papers. This is test 3, and you failed it. There are no tests. Caroline stood too. You're being paranoid. Am I? Then explain Section 7, subsection 3. She couldn't. I turned to my mother. I gave you $400,000. You didn't say thank you. You didn't acknowledge it. You deposited the check and immediately started planning how to limit my voice in family decisions. That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? Silence. I gathered my things. Patricia stood with me. I'm done, I declared. With the tests, with the meetings, with waiting for you to see me. I know who you are now, I know who you've always been, and I'm done pretending this is fixable. I walked to the door. If you leave now, you're not my daughter anymore, my mother called out. I turned back. Mom. I haven't been your daughter since I was 16 years old and wanted to study finance. You just took this long to notice. I left. In the car, Patricia put a hand on my arm. You okay? I have everything I need, every test, every failure, every conversation. I know exactly who they are now. What are you going to do? I'm going to make one more phone call, and then I'm going to stop being their daughter and start being Emma's mother, fully, without looking over my shoulder at them. I called Ms. Evelyn that night. I need to tell you something. I'm listening. You were right. About my family, about how they made me small, about how they wouldn't like it when I grew. What happened? I told her about the tests, all 3 of them, what I offered, what they did, what I learned. She was quiet for a long time after I finished. I'm proud of you, she finally replied. For what? For finally seeing it clearly. Some people spend their entire lives making excuses for their family. You stopped making excuses. That takes courage. I don't feel courageous. I feel sad. Those aren't mutually exclusive. She paused. What happens now? I don't know, but I have evidence of everything. And when the time comes, when they try something else, I'll be ready. I just need to wait for the right moment. How will you know when it is? I thought about that. Thought about my mother's voice when she said I wasn't her daughter anymore. Thought about Caroline's face when I caught the charter clause. Thought about David's silence through all of it. I'll know, I promised. Because they'll push one more time, they always do. And when they push, I won't bend anymore, I'll push back. With everything I've built, everything I've documented, everything I know. Good, Ms. Evelyn responded. Good, I hung up, sat in the dark of my office. Emma was asleep upstairs, James was reading in bed. I opened my laptop, created a new folder, titled it Full Disclosure Package. Inside, I put everything, every financial document, every test result. Every recorded conversation, every email, every text, the beach house paperwork, the will reading transcript, the charter they had tried to make me sign, all of it. When I was done, the folder contained 62 documents, spanning 8 years, proving everything. I backed it up in 3 different places. Then I closed my laptop and went upstairs to my family. My real family, James and Emma, the people who saw me, who had always seen me. I didn't know when the next confrontation would come, but I knew it would. Families like mine didn't stop pushing just because you pushed back once. They would try again, maybe about the beach house, maybe about money, maybe about Emma. But when they did, I wouldn't be the uncertain girl who wanted their approval. I would be the woman who had tested them 3 times and documented every failure. And I would have everything I needed to make sure they never forgot who I actually was. I had 62 documents, 8 years of evidence, 3 failed tests, and 1 phone call left to make, but not tonight. Tonight I went to check on Emma one last time before bed. She was sleeping peacefully, one arm around her favorite stuffed whale. I kissed her forehead. "You will never have to prove yourself to people who should already see you," I whispered. "I promise." She stirred but didn't wake. I meant it. Whatever happened next with my family, Emma would never go through what I went through. That was worth everything. That was worth all of it. I want you to remember what I said at the beginning, about whether I went too far. Keep that question in your mind during everything I am about to tell you. The catalyst came 6 weeks later. Emma's 11th birthday. I threw her a party, not at our house this time. I rented a small event space near the harbor, the kind with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the boats. 28 kids from her school, her swim team, 3 of her teachers, and Ms. Evelyn. I invited my family too. Out of obligation mostly. I didn't expect them to come. My mother RSVP'd yes, so did Caroline and David. James thought I was making a mistake. "They're going to ruin it." "Let them try," I responded. The party started at 2. By 1:45, the space was full of kids and noise and laughter. Emma wore a blue dress she had picked out herself. She was radiant. My mother arrived at 2:15. Alone. She brought a card with a $50 gift certificate inside. "Happy birthday, Emma," she said stiffly. Emma hugged her. "Thanks, Grandma." My mother's hug back was brief, formal. Caroline arrived 20 minutes later with Hunter and Madison, no Brett. He had a work thing, she explained to no one in particular. David came last, without Melissa. "She's not feeling well." The adults clustered in one corner while the kids played. I moved between groups, making sure everyone had cake, making sure Emma was happy. At 3:30, we sang Happy Birthday. Emma blew out 11 candles. Made a wish with her eyes squeezed shut. Then my mother said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, "11 years old, you're getting so big, I hope you're learning to be more ladylike." The nearby conversation stuttered. Parents looked over. Emma's smile faltered. "What do you mean?" "Just that you're growing up. Time to start thinking about how you present yourself." My mother's voice was honey-sweet. "You want people to take you seriously, don't you?" I set my plate down, walked over. "Mom, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm just giving Emma some advice." Outside, now. We stepped onto the small balcony. The harbor wind was cold. "What are you doing?" I kept my voice level. "I was talking to my granddaughter." "You were criticizing her, at her birthday party, in front of her friends." My mother waved a hand. "You're being oversensitive. I was trying to help." "Help with what? She's 11. "Exactly. Old enough to start learning proper behavior." Something in me went very still. Proper behavior? Yes, the way she runs around, the loudness, it's not appropriate for a girl her age. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, the pearls she always wore, the carefully styled hair, the expression that said she genuinely believed she was being helpful. "Get out," I said quietly. "Excuse me? Get out of my daughter's party, now. I'm her grandmother. You're a woman who just insulted an 11-year-old child on her birthday. Leave." My mother's face hardened. "You don't get to tell me what to do. This is my party, my space, my money paying for it. Yes, I do." She looked past me toward the windows. Everyone inside was watching now. "You're making a scene." "No, I'm setting a boundary. For the last time, get out." My mother gathered her purse, walked to the door, stopped. "You'll regret this." "The only thing I regret is inviting you." She left. I went back inside. Emma was surrounded by her friends, showing them a book someone had given her. She looked up when I came in. "Is Grandma okay?" "Grandma had to leave early, but you have a party to finish. Go have fun." She ran off. Ms. Evelyn came over. That took courage. That took 11 years of practice. Caroline approached then, her voice low. "You shouldn't have embarrassed Mom like that." She embarrassed herself. She was just trying to help Emma. No, she was doing to Emma what she did to me my entire childhood, and I'm not letting it happen. Caroline's expression shifted. "Something calculating. You know, Brett and I have been talking, about Emma, about whether she's in the right environment." I turned to face her fully. "What does that mean?" "Just that kids need structure, discipline, role models who teach them appropriate behavior." My blood went cold. "Are you threatening to call CPS on me?" I'm saying Emma deserves better than a mother who's so focused on her career that she doesn't notice her daughter needs guidance. I smiled. It was not a nice smile. Do it. Please, I would love to explain to a social worker how my daughter is happy, healthy, excelling in school, and has a college fund worth $900,000, while you explain why you think those things constitute neglect. Caroline's face flushed. You can't talk to me like that. I just did, and if you ever threaten my daughter again, what I do next will make the beach house buyout look friendly. She grabbed her kids, left without saying goodbye to Emma. David lingered. You really kicked Mom out. She insulted Emma at her own birthday party. What would you have done? He didn't answer, just shook his head and left too. The party continued. Emma had a wonderful time, but I knew this was it. The line had been crossed, not by me, by them, but they would blame me anyway. That night, after Emma was asleep, I sat at my kitchen table with James. Call Patricia, he said. It's Saturday night. She gave you her cell number for emergencies. This qualifies, I called. Patricia answered on the second ring. What happened? I told her. The party, my mother's comment, Caroline's threat. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. She threatened your custody. Not directly, but yes. That changes things. How? Because now it's not just about money or property, it's about Emma, which means we go nuclear. What does that mean? It means we file everything. The full disclosure, every document, every test. Every piece of evidence that proves you are a fit parent with substantial means, and they are a family with a documented history of emotional abuse and manipulation. That feels extreme. They threatened your daughter, Patricia reminded me. There is no such thing as extreme when someone does that. She was right. File everything, I told her. Original timeline, no delays. Are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. Monday morning, I got a text from my mother. We need to talk about your behavior at Emma's party. Family meeting. Wednesday at 6, the house, don't bring your lawyer. I showed the text to James. She actually thinks I'm going to show up without Patricia. Are you going? Oh, I'm going, but not the way she expects. I called Patricia. They want a family meeting Wednesday. Convenient timing. The disclosure package was filed this morning. Filed where? With the family court. I requested a review of the family trust Dad set up. The one they tried to get you to sign. I also requested an accounting of all gifts and loans between family members in the last 5 years. Why? Because if Caroline is going to threat custody, we need to establish on the record that you are financially stable and they have a pattern of financial manipulation. The court filing does that. When will they find out about the filing? They'll get notice tomorrow, so they'll know before the Wednesday meeting. Good. Tuesday afternoon, my mother called. Her voice was shaking. What did you do? I don't know what you mean. The court filing, the request for accounting, what are you doing? I'm protecting my daughter. By dragging our family through court, you threatened to call CPS on me. What did you expect? She hung up. Caroline called an hour later. You need to withdraw that filing. No. Do you have any idea what this looks like? A court reviewing our family finances? I have a very good idea what it looks like. It looks like transparency. This is vindictive. This is protective. There's a difference. If you don't withdraw it, there will be consequences. Is that another threat, Caroline? Because my attorney is recording this call. She wasn't, but Caroline didn't know that. Caroline hung up. Wednesday came, I dressed carefully, navy suit, hair pulled back, simple jewelry. I looked like I was going to a deposition, because in a way I was. Patricia met me at my mother's house at 5:45. Ready? She asked. No. Let's go anyway. My mother answered the door. She looked older than I remembered, tired. I said no lawyers. And I said Patricia comes or I don't, your choice. She stepped aside. Inside, Caroline and David were already seated. Same arrangement as always, them on one side, space for me on the other. Gerald was there too, my parents' estate attorney. That was new. Gerald, I acknowledged. Good to see you. His voice was professionally neutral. Patricia and I sat. She opened her portfolio. Took out a pen. My mother started. We asked you here because this situation has gotten out of hand. I waited. The court filing, the accusations, the way you spoke to me at Emma's party, it's unacceptable. Still waiting. We're prepared to move past this, Caroline jumped in. If you withdraw the court filing and apologize. Apologize for what? For embarrassing Mom, for making false accusations, for trying to destroy this family. I looked at Gerald. Did you advise them to say that? He shifted uncomfortably. I'm here as an observer. Then observe this. I turned to my mother. Before I respond to anything, I have a question. What question? Why did you go to Ms. Evelyn when I was in 8th grade and ask her to recommend me for the standard track instead of honors? My mother blinked. What? Ms. Evelyn told me. You went to her. told her I wasn't academically inclined like Caroline, asked her to keep me out of honors classes. That's not I never, she kept notes. Dated notes, would you like to see them? Patricia slid a paper across the table. Ms. Evelyn's statement, signed and dated. My mother picked it up with shaking hands. Read it. This is taken out of context. What context makes asking a teacher to limit your daughter's education okay? I was trying to protect you. The honors track was very stressful. I didn't want you to struggle. Caroline was in the honors track. Caroline could handle it. And I couldn't. You were different. I nodded slowly. Different how? She wouldn't answer. I turned to Caroline. You said I made false accusations. Which accusations specifically? That we favor my kids over Emma. Do you? Of course not. Then explain why Emma has been invited to the beach house exactly twice in 3 years while your kids have spent 18 weeks there. Hunter has special needs. Hunter's therapist never said other children should be excluded. I have her actual report. Would you like to see it? Patricia slid another paper across. The therapist's report, with the relevant section highlighted. Caroline's face flushed. You had no right to get that. I had every right. You used it to justify excluding my daughter. I verified whether your claim was accurate. It wasn't. David leaned forward. Can we talk about this like adults? We are talking like adults, David. Adults verify claims. Adults document things. Adults don't just accept what they're told. You're twisting everything, my mother insisted. Let me ask you something else. The $400,000 I gave you, the debt from Dad's investments, was that real? Silence. Mom, David looked at her. Was it real? Your father made some poor choices. How much was the actual debt? I pressed. More silence. Patricia slid a third paper across the table. We subpoenaed your mother's financial records as part of the court filing. The debt was real. The amount was $92,000, not $400,000. David stood up. You told us it was $400,000. I needed more than that. You lied, he said flatly. You lied to get more money from her. I was in a difficult situation. Where did the other $300,000 go? I asked quietly. My mother looked at Caroline. Caroline looked at the floor. Oh my God, David breathed. You gave it to Caroline. Helped Caroline with some expenses, my mother defended. Brett's promotion fell through. They needed help with their mortgage. So you took money I gave you to pay Dad's debts and you gave 2/3 of it to Caroline. Family helps family. Then why didn't you tell me that's what you needed it for? Because you would have said no. You're right, I would have. Because Caroline tried to exclude my daughter from the beach house and threatened to call CPS on me. Why would I give her money? Caroline stood. I never actually called CPS. But you threatened to, at my daughter's birthday party. I was upset. You told me Emma needed better role models, that I was too focused on my career, that she deserved better than me. My voice didn't shake. I had practiced this. That's not being upset, that's being cruel. You kicked Mom out of the party? After she told Emma she needed to be more ladylike. After she criticized an 11-year-old child for being happy and loud at her own birthday party. Gerald cleared his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. No, I responded. We're not done. I looked at my mother. Do you remember when Dad had his stroke? When he was in the hospital? Of course. The nurse said he was asking for family. She said just you and Caroline could go back. She said he specified. He was weak. He couldn't handle. Did he actually specify? Or did you tell the nurse to say that? My mother's hand went to her pearls. Because I called the hospital yesterday, spoke to the patient advocate. They pulled the records. Dad never specified who could visit. You did. Patricia slid another paper across. The nurse's notes from that day. Family member Margaret Thompson requested limited visitors for patient comfort. Not patient request, family member request. David sat down heavily. You kept her away from him. He was recovering. He died 4 months later. David's voice cracked. She never got to say goodbye properly because you decided she wasn't worthy. I was protecting him. From what? I asked. From me? What was I going to do? Ask him why he never loved me as much as he loved Caroline? The room went silent. Nobody said anything for what felt like a full minute. Then Ms. Evelyn spoke from the doorway. Everyone turned. She stood there in a green cardigan, her white hair pinned back, her expression calm. I hope you don't mind, she said to me. You told me there might be a family meeting. I thought I should come. You invited her, my mother demanded. I invited a witness, I corrected. Someone who has known this family for 40 years and can speak to patterns of behavior. Ms. Evelyn walked into the room, sat next to Patricia. I taught all 3 Thompson children, she began. Her voice was steady, clear. Caroline was an excellent student, hardworking, eager to please. David was sweet, thoughtful, and then there was this one. She gestured to me. This one asked questions I had never heard from an 8th grader. Why does compound interest work that way? How do people build businesses? What's the difference between revenue and profit? She was extraordinary. My mother started to speak. Ms. Evelyn held up a hand. Let me finish. Margaret came to see me when this one was in 8th grade. She asked me to recommend her daughter for the standard track, said she wasn't academically inclined, wasn't as capable as Caroline. I said no. I said this child was one of the brightest students I had ever taught. Margaret was very angry. That's not, my mother tried. I kept notes. I keep notes on all my difficult conversations with parents. It's dated March 17th, 2001. Would you like me to read them aloud? My mother closed her mouth. Over the next 4 years, I watched Margaret undermine her daughter at every opportunity, forgot to attend her awards ceremonies, didn't come to her honor society induction, compared her unfavorably to Caroline in front of other parents. Ms. Evelyn's voice was gentle but firm. I have watched this family make this child small for her entire life, and I have watched her grow anyway, despite you, not because of you. She turned to me. I'm proud of you. I have been proud of you since you were 13 years old and asked me if women could run venture capital firms. The answer was yes, by the way. And now you could run one if you wanted to? I felt tears starting, blinked them back. Caroline stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. We don't have to sit here and listen to this. Yes, you do, Patricia interjected, because I have 14 more documents to introduce, and you're going to want to be present for all of them. What documents? Patricia opened her portfolio. Financial records showing that Margaret gave Caroline $283,000 over the last 3 years, while giving her other daughter nothing. Records showing that Richard's will was modified 3 times in the last year of his life, each time reducing financial provisions for one daughter while increasing them for the other. Records showing, stop, my mother whispered, that Caroline attempted to establish a trust structure specifically designed to limit her sister's voting rights. Records showing, I said stop. Patricia looked at me. I nodded. She closed the portfolio. My mother was crying, the angry kind of crying. Why are you doing this? She asked me, why are you trying to destroy this family? I'm not destroying anything. I'm just finally showing you who I actually am. You're cruel, just like, she stopped. Just like who, Mom? Just like Dad's side of the family? Just like the Thompsons you always said I looked like? She didn't answer. I stood. I came here tonight to see if any of you would take responsibility for the favoritism, for the lies. For using money I gave you in good faith to help Caroline while telling me it was for debt, for excluding Emma, for threatening my custody, for making me feel like I was crazy my entire childhood when I was just different from what you wanted. I looked at each of them. None of you have taken responsibility, not one word of apology, not one admission of wrongdoing. You're all sitting here trying to justify it, explain it away, make it my fault. That's not fair, David tried, isn't it? Have you apologized for going along with everything? For staying silent while Mom excluded me from seeing Dad, for agreeing to the charter that would have eliminated my vote? He looked down. I turned to Caroline. Have you apologized for taking $283,000 that you knew came from money I gave Mom for Dad's debt? She crossed her arms. I turned to my mother. Have you apologized for telling Emma she needed to be more ladylike at her own birthday party? For trying to keep me out of honors classes? For making me sit in the car with a broken air conditioner for 3 years while Caroline drove a new Audi? She wiped her eyes. You don't understand. I did what I thought was best. Best for who? For everyone. Not for me, never for me. I picked up my bag. Patricia gathered her papers. The court filing will proceed, Patricia announced. We're requesting a full accounting of all family financial transactions for the last 10 years. We're also requesting a review of Richard's will modifications and Margaret's authority as executor. Discovery starts next week. You can't do this, Caroline objected. I already did. You were served this morning. You have 30 days to respond. We walked to the door. If you leave now, my mother called out, you're not welcome back. I stopped, turned. Mom, I was never welcome to begin with. I just finally stopped pretending I was. Ms. Evelyn stood. I'll walk out with you. The 3 of us left together. In the driveway, Ms. Evelyn hugged me. You did the right thing. It doesn't feel right. It feels necessary. There's a difference. She drove away in her small Honda. Patricia and I stood by our cars. What happens now? I asked. Now they panic, they hire lawyers, they try to negotiate, and we proceed exactly as planned. How long will this take? 4 to 6 months, maybe longer if they fight hard. And if they don't fight, then it's faster, but they'll fight. People like that always do. She was right. The next morning, I got a call from a lawyer I didn't know, representing my mother. My client would like to discuss a settlement. A settlement of what? The court filing, the accounting request. She's prepared to make certain concessions in exchange for you withdrawing the action. What concessions? She'll agree to equal access to the beach house for your daughter. She'll also agree to repay $50,000 of the funds that were redirected to your sister. $50,000. She took $308,000 and she's offering to return $50,000. It's a starting point. Tell your client no. Ms. Thompson, tell your client that the filing stands, discovery proceeds, and if she wants to negotiate, she can start by admitting what she did and apologizing for it. I hung up. 2 days later, Caroline's lawyer called. Same offer, different numbers. My client is prepared to return $100,000 and issue a formal apology for any misunderstandings regarding the beach house access. Misunderstandings? Yes. My daughter wasn't misunderstood. She was excluded, deliberately. My client disputes that characterization. Then we'll let discovery sort it out. Every email, every text, every documented conversation. We'll see what characterization the evidence supports. You're being unreasonable. I'm being thorough. There's a difference. I hung up. If you're still here, hit like. I need you to see what happened next. 3 weeks into discovery, Patricia called with an update. They're fighting everything, every document request, every deposition notice. This is going to get ugly. How ugly? They're arguing that your business records aren't relevant, that your personal finances shouldn't be disclosed, that the court has no jurisdiction over private family matters. Can they win those arguments? No, but they can delay, and they can make this expensive for everyone. I have money. I know, but do you have the emotional energy for a year-long court battle with your family? I thought about Emma, about the birthday party, about my mother's voice saying ladylike. Yes, I do. 4 weeks in, David called. Can we talk, just you and me? We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked tired, older than his 32 years. Melissa and I are separating, he said. I'm sorry. She said she can't handle the family drama, that watching Mom and Caroline tear you apart was too much. I'm not being torn apart. I know, that's what scares them. He stirred his coffee. I need to ask you something. Okay. Is any of this about me, the court filing, the discovery, any of it? Did you lie to me? No. Did you threaten my daughter? No. Did you take money from me under false pretenses? No. Then no, this isn't about you. He nodded slowly. Mom wants me to testify, against you. Will you? I don't know, she's my mother. I know, she's mine too. We sat in silence. What did I do wrong? He finally asked. I didn't lie, I didn't steal, I didn't threaten Emma, but I also didn't stop them. Does that make me guilty too? That's not for me to answer. I want to make this right, tell me how. Tell the truth, in your deposition, whatever they ask you, just tell the truth. Even if it hurts Mom? Especially if it hurts Mom. Because the truth is the only thing that will actually help her at this point. He left. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this the Thompson who's suing her family? Who is this? A reporter. I've been following your court case. It's public record now. I'd love to get your side of the story. I hung up. Called Patricia immediately. A reporter called me. It was bound to happen. High net worth family, court battle, accusations of financial abuse. It's newsworthy. What do I do? Nothing. Don't talk to them. Don't respond. Let the court filings speak for themselves. But the story came out anyway. A small local paper ran it first. Wealthy businesswoman sues mother over family beach house. The headline was technically accurate, also completely misleading. The article mentioned the beach house, mentioned my company, mentioned the court filing. It did not mention Emma's birthday party, or the debt that wasn't the amount they claimed. Or 35 years of being treated like I didn't matter. My phone started ringing. Friends, clients, people I hadn't spoken to in years. Is it true you're suing your mother? Why didn't you tell me you owned a $17 million company? Are you okay? I stopped answering. The second article came out a week later. Different paper, different angle. Family Feud exposes years of financial manipulation. This one was better, or worse, depending on your perspective. Included quotes from court documents, Patricia's filing about the $400,000 lie, the evidence of money being redirected to Caroline. It also included a quote from my mother's lawyer. Ms. Thompson is a troubled individual who has been estranged from her family for years due to her own choices. This lawsuit is a vindictive attempt to punish her mother for imagined slights. I read that quote 17 times. Imagined slights. That night, Emma found me crying in the kitchen. Mom. I wiped my eyes. I'm okay, baby. You're not okay. She sat down next to me, put her small hand on my arm. Is this about Grandma? Yes. Are you going to be okay? I looked at my daughter, 11 years old, worried about me. Yes, I am because I have you. She hugged me tight. Grandma was wrong, she whispered. At my party, I don't need to be more ladylike. I'm perfect the way I am. I held her and cried harder. 8 weeks into discovery, we got the break we needed. Gerald, my parents' estate attorney, agreed to be deposed. Patricia came back from his deposition with a stack of papers and a grim expression. You need to read this. I read it. Gerald had kept copies of everything, every will modification, every conversation with my parents about estate planning, every instruction they had given him, including an email from my mother, dated 2 years before my father died. I want to make sure Caroline is protected. She'll need more support than the others. Please structure the estate accordingly. And my father's response, forwarded by my mother to Gerald. Agreed. Caroline has always been more responsible with money. Let's ensure she's taken care of. I stared at the emails. They decided 2 years before he died that Caroline deserved more, I said quietly. Yes. Not because she needed it. Because they thought she was more responsible. Yes. Even though I built a $17 million company and Caroline needed $300,000 to make her mortgage. Yes. I set the papers down. File a motion. I want these emails entered into evidence. Are you sure? Once they're filed, they're public record. Anyone can see them. I'm sure. The motion was filed the next day. My mother called that night, screaming, How dare you? Those emails were private. They were part of estate planning. They're relevant to the case. You're trying to humiliate me? I'm trying to prove that you treated me differently my entire life. Those emails do that perfectly. Your father loved you. My father thought Caroline was more responsible than me even though I was a millionaire and she was in debt. That's not love. That's preference. I will never forgive you for this. I stopped needing your forgiveness a long time ago. She hung up. The settlement offer came 3 days later. Patricia called. They want to talk. About what? Everything. They're prepared to make significant concessions. We met in a conference room at Patricia's office. My mother, Caroline, their lawyers. David came too, but he sat apart from them. My mother looked like she had aged 10 years. Caroline looked furious. Their lead attorney opened. My clients would like to resolve this matter without further litigation. I'm listening. They propose the following. Full repayment of the $308,000 that was redirected to Caroline. Equal access to the beach house for all grandchildren, documented in writing, and a public acknowledgement that certain statements made about your parenting were inaccurate and inappropriate. I looked at Patricia. She gave a tiny nod. What about the will? I asked. What about it? The emails show my parents decided to favor Caroline in estate planning. I want that corrected. My mother's lawyer leaned forward. Your father's will is executed. It can't be changed. But my mother's can. She inherited everything. When she dies, I want equal distribution. My mother's face was pale. You want to control my will? I want fairness for once in my life. Silence. Then David spoke. I agree with her. Everyone turned. I agree with her, he repeated. We should inherit equally, all 3 of us. That's fair. Caroline's lawyer looked at her. She was shaking her head. No, that's not, Mom. Tell them no. My mother looked at Caroline, then at me, then at David. Okay, she whispered. Mom, I said okay. My mother's voice was stronger now. Equal distribution, all 3 children. I'll have Gerald drop the new will. Caroline stood. If you do this, I'm done with all of you. Then you're done, my mother responded quietly. Caroline grabbed her purse, walked out, her lawyer followed. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then my mother looked at me. I'm sorry, 2 words. 35 years late, but she said them. For what specifically? I needed to hear it. For making you feel like you weren't enough, for favoring Caroline, for lying about the debt, for giving her money that should have been used to pay your father's actual obligations, for trying to limit your voice in family decisions, for keeping you from your father in the hospital, for criticizing Emma. Her voice cracked. For all of it. Patricia was writing everything down. This was on the record. And what happens now? I asked. Now we do what we should have done decades ago. We treat you fairly. Just fairly, not equally, she looked at me. Equally, I nodded. Okay. We signed the settlement agreement that afternoon. $308,000 to be repaid in full within 90 days. Equal access to the beach house. New will providing for equal distribution. And a notarized statement that Caroline's implications about my parenting were false and made in anger. I walked out of that conference room with everything I came for, but it felt hollow. That night Ms. Evelyn called. I heard the settlement went through. It did. How do you feel? Empty. That's normal. Is it? You spent decades building a wall to protect yourself from them. Now that you don't need the wall anymore, you're not sure what to do with all that space. She was right. What do I do now? I asked. You live, fully. Without looking over your shoulder to see if they're watching. I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do. You've been practicing your whole life. The settlement was signed on a Friday afternoon in November. By Monday morning, Caroline had filed a motion to contest it. Her lawyer sent a letter. The settlement was signed under duress. The financial disclosures were incomplete. The terms were unconscionable. Patricia read it aloud to me over the phone. She's claiming you forced your mother to sign. My mother had her own attorney present. I know, this won't go anywhere legally, but it tells you she's not done fighting. What do? We respond, and we prepare for the possibility that this goes back to court. I hung up, sat very still. James found me staring at my computer. Caroline's contesting the settlement. Of course she is. I thought it was over. It's never over with people like that, he replied. Not until they have no moves left. He was right. 2 weeks later, Patricia called with news. The judge denied Caroline's motion to contest, called it frivolous, ordered her to pay your legal fees for responding to it. How much? $12,000. I should have felt victorious. I just felt tired. There's something else, Patricia continued. Caroline filed a separate action. She's suing your mother. For what? Breach of fiduciary duty. She's claiming your mother promised her certain assets and then reneged after you filed your lawsuit. She wants the $308,000 your mother is paying you to come from your mother's estate instead. Essentially, she wants to ensure she still gets her full inheritance. Can she do that? She can try. It won't work, but she can make your mother's life miserable trying. That night, my mother called. She was crying. Caroline sued me. I heard. She's my daughter. How can she do this to me? I wanted to ask her how she could have done what she did to me for 35 years. But I didn't. What does your lawyer say? That she has no case, but it doesn't matter. She's suing me, her own mother. The irony was so thick I almost laughed. I'm sorry, Mom. Are you? This is what you wanted, to tear this family apart. No, I wanted to be treated fairly. Caroline tearing the family apart is her choice, not mine. She hung up. David called an hour later. Did you hear about Caroline suing Mom? Yes. This is insane. She's lost her mind. Has she? Or has she just always been like this and nobody ever told her no before? David was quiet. I need to tell you something about the will, Dad's will. Okay. I was there when he modified it the last time, 3 months before he died. I was at the house and Mom asked me to witness the signature. And he told me he was leaving most of the estate to Mom, obviously. But that when she died, he wanted Caroline to get more than you or me. He said she needed it more. That she had more responsibilities. She had more responsibilities than a single mother running a $17 million company. He didn't know about your company. None of us did. Because you never asked. I know. His voice cracked. I know, and I just stood there and witnessed it. I didn't say anything. I didn't ask why. I just signed the paper. Why are you telling me this now? Because I need you to know I'm sorry. I should have said something. I should have asked questions. I should have stood up for you. I didn't, and I'm sorry. It was the first real apology I had gotten from anyone in my family besides my mother's forced one at the settlement. Thank you, I managed. I testified yesterday. In Mom's case against Caroline, I told them everything, about witnessing the will, about the beach house, about how Caroline got money and you didn't, about the birthday party, all of it. How did Caroline react? She screamed at me, called me a traitor. Said I was choosing you over family. And what did you say? I said I was choosing the truth, that I should have done it years ago. We talked for another hour, about his separation from Melissa, about his practice, about what happens next. When we hung up, I felt something shift, not forgiveness exactly, but possibility. 3 months later, Caroline's lawsuit against our mother was dismissed. The judge called it retaliatory and baseless. Caroline was ordered to pay $78,000 in legal fees. Money she didn't have. She called me for the first time in 6 months. I need help. With what? The legal fees. I can't pay them. Brett and I are separated. I'm drowning. Why are you calling me? Because you won, okay? You won, you proved your point. You showed everyone that you're successful and I'm not. Are you happy now? No, I'm not happy, but I'm not unhappy either. What does that mean? It means I stopped measuring my life by what you think of me, or what Mom thinks. Or what Dad thought. I just live now. So you won't help me. I didn't say that. I paused. I'll loan you the money, $78,000, actual loan with a contract, market rate interest, 5-year repayment term. You default, I can seize assets. Why would you do that? Because despite everything, you're Emma's aunt, And I don't want her to grow up thinking family means abandoning people when they're struggling, even people who hurt us. She was quiet for a long time. I don't deserve that. No, you don't, but I'm offering it anyway. Why? Because I can and because I'm choosing to be different than how we were raised. The loan was executed 2 weeks later. Patricia drew up the paperwork. Caroline signed it. She made her first payment on time. And the second and the third, we didn't become close, but we weren't enemies anymore either. Emma's 12th birthday came in June. I threw another party. Smaller this time, just her close friends. I invited my mother. She came. She brought a gift. She told Emma happy birthday without any commentary about how she should behave. Progress. David came too. He was dating someone new, a woman named Sarah who taught high school science and laughed easily. Caroline didn't come. She sent a card. Ms. Evelyn came. She sat with my mother for a while. I watched them talk, saw my mother nod, saw her wipe her eyes. Later, Ms. Evelyn pulled me aside. I told her what I saw, all those years, how she made you smaller. How did she respond? She cried, said she didn't realize, said she thought she was helping. Do you believe her? I believe she believes it. People rarely think they're the villain of their own story. That night, after everyone left, my mother asked to speak with me privately. We sat on the back porch. Emma was inside showing James her gifts. Ms. Evelyn told me some things about how I treated you growing up. I waited. I didn't see it at the time. I thought I was protecting you, guiding you toward a more realistic path. I thought Caroline needed more support because she was more fragile, and I was stronger so I didn't need it. Yes, that's not how it works, Mom. Strong people still need support. They still need to hear that they're valued, that they matter. I know that now. She twisted her wedding ring. Your father and I talked about it once, near the end. He said he was proud of Caroline because she turned out exactly how he hoped, but he was confused by you. He didn't understand what you wanted or who you were trying to be. I was trying to be myself. I know, but we couldn't see that. We thought you were rejecting us, rejecting our values. It felt personal. It wasn't personal, I just wanted different things. She nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you think we can fix this, our relationship? I thought about that, really thought about it. I don't think we can fix what was, but maybe we can build something new. Something honest. I'd like that. It means no more lying, no more favoritism, no more acting like my success threatens you. Okay. And it means respecting boundaries, with Emma, with me, with my choices. Okay. We sat in silence for a while. I'm proud of you, she said finally. I should have said it a long time ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm proud of what you built, of who you are, of how you stood up for yourself and for Emma. I felt tears coming. Let them fall this time. Thank you. She reached over, took my hand. We sat there as the sun went down, not perfect, not healed, but maybe finally honest. 6 months after the settlement, the beach house sold. We put it on the market in April. It sold in 3 days for $5.9 million. After the mortgage was paid off, we each cleared about $930,000. Caroline used hers to pay off her legal fees and her loan to me early, bought a smaller house in a good school district, started over. David used his to open a second dental practice, asked me for business advice, actually listened when I gave it. My mother used hers to move into a smaller condo, something manageable, something that didn't echo with memories of my father. I put mine in trust for Emma, for college, for her first business if she wanted to start one, for whatever she needed. The company opened the Chicago office in September. It was everything we hoped. By December, we had signed 4 major clients and hired 16 people. Andrea and I celebrated with expensive wine and cheap pizza in the new conference room. You did it, she said. We did it. No, you built this, you fought for it, you protected it, even when your own family was trying to tear you down. They weren't trying to tear me down, they just couldn't see me. That's the same thing. Maybe it was. Emma started 7th grade that fall. She joined the debate team. Won her first tournament, came home with a trophy and a smile that lit up the whole house. I argued that standardized testing is unfair, she told me over dinner, and I won? That's my girl. The judge said I was very articulate, that I should consider law school someday. I looked at James. He was smiling. You can be anything you want, I told her. Lawyer, doctor, engineer, business owner, anything. What if I want to be like you? My throat got tight. Then I'll teach you everything I know. That night, I got a text from Caroline. Hunter asked about Emma today, wanted to know if they could have a playdate. Would that be okay? I stared at the text for a long time, then I typed back. Yes, that would be okay. The playdate happened 2 weeks later, at a park, neutral territory. Caroline and I sat on a bench while the kids played. Thank you for this, she said. They're cousins, they should know each other. Even after everything? Especially after everything. I don't want Emma to learn what I learned. That family is something you have to earn. I want her to know family is something you choose, and I'm choosing this. Caroline watched Hunter and Emma on the swings. I was wrong about a lot of things, about you, about Emma, about what mattered. I know. I'm trying to do better with my kids. I don't want them to grow up thinking love is conditional. That's good. We sat in silence, not comfortable, but not hostile either. Progress. A year after the settlement, I took Emma to visit Ms. Evelyn. She was 80 now, still sharp, still kind. We sat in her small living room and drank tea. Tell me what you're learning in school, Ms. Evelyn prompted Emma. Emma launched into a description of her science project, something about renewable energy and solar panels. Ms. Evelyn listened with the same attention she had given me 25 years ago when I asked her about compound interest. After Emma went to explore Ms. Evelyn's book collection, we sat quietly. You did well, Ms. Evelyn said. With her. With everything. I just did what you taught me. I asked questions. I didn't accept the world as it was handed to me. I taught you to think. You taught yourself to stand up. You were the first person who ever saw me. No, I was just the first person who told you what I saw. You were always there. You always mattered. Some people just couldn't see it. Emma came back with a book about Marie Curie. Can I borrow this? Of course, Ms. Evelyn responded. Keep it. I have a feeling you're going to do something remarkable someday. Emma beamed. In the car on the way home, Emma asked, was Ms. Evelyn your teacher? Yes, she's really nice. She is. Grandma said Ms. Evelyn is the reason you sued the family. I gripped the steering wheel. What else did Grandma say? That Ms. Evelyn put ideas in your head, that you would have been happier if you just accepted things the way they were. I pulled over, turned to face Emma. Listen to me. Ms. Evelyn didn't put ideas in my head. She just told me the truth, that I was smart, that I could do hard things, that I didn't have to be what other people expected me to be. Is that bad? No, baby, that's the opposite of bad. That's the best thing anyone ever did for me. Then why did Grandma say it like it was a bad thing? Because Grandma is still learning that being different isn't the same as being wrong. Emma thought about that. Am I different? Yes. You're loud and curious and you ask a million questions and you're absolutely perfect. Grandma said I should be more ladylike. Grandma was wrong. You told her that? Yes, and I'll tell her again if I need to, because you don't need to be more ladylike. You need to be more yourself. Emma smiled. I love you, Mom. I love you too. We drove home. Emma read her Marie Curie book. I thought about what my mother said, about Ms. Evelyn putting ideas in my head. Maybe she did. But they were good ideas. Ideas about worth and value and refusing to be small. I wouldn't change that for anything. 2 years after the settlement, I got a call from the hospital. My mother had fallen, broken her hip. She was in surgery. I drove there immediately, found David in the waiting room. Where's Caroline? On her way. She was at Hunter's soccer game. We sat together, waiting. When the doctor came out, he said the surgery went well. She would need physical therapy. Probably a few months of recovery. Does she have someone to help her at home? The doctor asked. David and I looked at each other. I can take her, I offered. I have a guest room. Emma and I can help. David's eyebrows went up. Are you sure? No, but I'm offering anyway. My mother came home with me 3 days later. It was strange, having her in my house, seeing her navigate the space I had built without her. She noticed things, the art on the walls, the photos of Emma. The bookshelf full of business books and biographies. You have a beautiful home, she said on the second day. Thank you. I never asked to see it before. I should have. Yes, you should have, she looked at me. I have a lot of shoulds, don't I? We all do. Over the next 6 weeks, we fell into a routine. I worked from home. Emma helped with small things. James made sure my mother got to physical therapy. And slowly, carefully, we talked. About my childhood, about her marriage, about the choices she made and why she made them. I thought I was doing the right thing, she said one afternoon. Protecting Caroline, making sure she was set up for success. It never occurred to me that I was hurting you in the process. Did you ever wonder why I never told you about my company? Yes. Why do you think I didn't? She was quiet for a long time. Because you knew we wouldn't believe you, or we'd find a way to diminish it. Yes, that must have been very lonely. It was. I'm sorry. I know. It wasn't forgiveness. Not completely, but it was something. When my mother moved back to her condo, she hugged me at the door. Thank you for taking me in. You didn't have to. No, I didn't, but Emma needed to see that we can be kind to people even when they've hurt us. That being strong doesn't mean being cruel. You're a good mother. I'm trying to be. You're succeeding. 3 years after the settlement, Emma applied to high schools. She got into her first choice, a private school with a strong STEM program. The tuition was $42,000 a year. My mother called when she heard. Can I contribute? You don't have to. I want to be part of this, part of her education. I want to do for Emma what I should have done for you. Okay. She sent a check for $10,000 with a note, for Emma, for her future, for all the things I should have supported in you. I put the check in Emma's education fund. Emma started high school that fall. She thrived, joined 3 clubs, made the honor roll, came home every day full of stories and questions and energy. She was loud, she was curious. She was everything my mother once tried to quiet in me, and she was perfect. One Saturday in October, all of us gathered at David's house for his daughter's first birthday. David and Sarah had gotten married 6 months earlier. Their daughter Lily was sweet and giggly and adored her big cousins. My mother was there. Caroline and her kids, Emma, James, Ms. Evelyn even came. Ate cake, watched Lily smash frosting everywhere, took pictures. At one point, I found myself standing with Caroline and David. "This is nice," David offered, "all of us together." "It is," Caroline agreed, then she looked at me. "I never thought we'd get here after everything." "Neither did I, I'm glad we did though." "Me too." It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, still things we didn't talk about, still wounds that hadn't fully healed, but we were there, together, trying. That was something. 4 years after the settlement, my company hit $50 million in annual revenue. We celebrated with a company-wide party. 200 employees, partners, clients. Andrea gave a speech. 4 years ago, we were 30 people in one office. Now we're 200 people in 4 cities, and it's all because one person refused to accept that she couldn't do it. Everyone applauded, looked at me. I stood, gave a short speech about teamwork and vision and the future. But what I really wanted to say was this: I built this because nobody thought I could. And then I kept building because I could. Because being underestimated is a gift if you use it right. Because proving people wrong is satisfying, but proving yourself right is better. Because I wanted Emma to grow up watching her mother build something that mattered. I didn't say any of that. I just said thank you and sat down. But Andrea knew. She squeezed my hand under the table. That night, James and I sat in our living room. "Are you happy?" he asked. "Yes." "Really? Really, my company is thriving, Emma is thriving. My relationship with my family is better than it's ever been, not perfect, but honest, that's enough." "What about Caroline? What about her? Do you forgive her?" I thought about that. "I don't think about her enough to need to forgive her. Does that make sense?" "Yes. She's Emma's aunt, she's my sister, we're civil. Sometimes we're almost friendly." "That's enough too. And your mom?" "My mom is trying, really trying. She comes to Emma's events, she asks about my work, she apologized, that's more than I ever thought I'd get." "So you won?" "No, I didn't win, I just stopped losing." Emma came downstairs then, 15 years old, tall, confident, everything I wasn't at her age. "Can I talk to you about something?" she asked. "Always." She sat down. Aunt Caroline asked if I wanted to intern at her real estate office next summer. "What did you say?" "I said I'd think about it. Do you think I should? Do you want to?" "I don't know, I like Aunt Caroline now, but I know she wasn't always nice to you, and I don't want to hurt you." I pulled her close. "Baby, you could never hurt me by having a relationship with your aunt. What happened between Caroline and me is our history, not yours. If you want to intern with her, do it. Learn from her, build your own relationship with her." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Emma hugged me tight. "You're the best mom." "I'm trying." After she went back upstairs, James said, "You really meant that." "Of course I did. You're not worried she'll poison Emma against you?" "No, because Emma knows who I am. She's seen me build this life. She's watched me stand up for us. She trusts me. That's stronger than anything Caroline could say." 5 years after the settlement, I got a letter from Caroline. Not a text, not an email, an actual handwritten letter. It was 3 pages long. She wrote about her regrets, about how she had been raised to compete with me instead of support me, about how she hadn't understood what she had until it was almost gone. She wrote about watching Emma and Hunter become friends, about how seeing them laugh together made her realize what she had missed with me. She wrote about the money I had loaned her, about how it saved her when she was drowning, about how she would never forget it. And at the end, she wrote, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect us to be close, but I wanted you to know that I see you now, really see you, and I'm sorry it took me so long." I read it 3 times, then I called her. "I got your letter. I didn't know if you would read it. I read it. And thank you for writing it, for being honest. That's it. That's it. I'm not angry anymore, Caroline. I'm not hurt. I'm just living my life. You're part of that life now in a different way than before. That's okay. I want to do better. Be better for Hunter and Madison, for Emma, for you. Then do that, but do it for yourself too, not because you owe me, because you deserve better than who you were." We talked for an hour, about our kids, about our work, about small things that didn't matter and big things that did. When we hung up, I felt lighter, not because we were suddenly close, but because we were finally honest. 6 years after the settlement, Ms. Evelyn died. She was 84. She died in her sleep, peacefully. Her funeral was small. Former students, fellow teachers, friends. I gave the eulogy. I talked about how she saw potential in a 13-year-old girl that nobody else saw, how she protected me, how she believed in me, how she changed my entire life with one conversation after math class. She told me I was going to be something, I said, and she made me believe it. Everything I built because one person told me I could. That's the power of seeing people clearly. That's the gift she gave me. Emma cried during the eulogy, so did my mother. After the service, my mother pulled me aside. She was right, about you, about everything. I know. I should have seen it too. Yes, you should have, but you see it now, that matters. At the reception, a woman I didn't know approached me. I was one of Ms. Evelyn's students too, 20 years ago. She talked about you sometimes, in her later years, said you were proof that one teacher really could change a life. She changed mine. She changed a lot of lives, but yours was the one she was most proud of. I cried in the bathroom for 10 minutes. Then I went home and set up a scholarship in Ms. Evelyn's name, $50,000 a year, for students who asked questions nobody else asked, who wanted things nobody else wanted, who needed someone to tell them they could. Emma helped me write the application criteria. It should go to kids who are different, she suggested. The weird ones, the loud ones. The ones people underestimate. Perfect. The scholarship launched the following fall. We gave it to a girl named Maya who wanted to build robots and whose parents kept telling her to be more practical. Ms. Evelyn would have loved her. 7 years after the settlement, I sold my company, not because I had to, because I was ready. A private equity firm offered me $123 million. I took it. Andrea stayed on as CEO. Most of the employees kept their jobs. The clients were protected, and I walked away with enough money to do whatever I wanted for the rest of my life. James and I sat on our back deck the night the sale closed. What are you going to do now? He asked. I don't know, travel maybe, spend more time with Emma before she goes to college, start something new, or just rest. You've never rested in your life. Maybe it's time to learn. Emma came out then, 17 now, preparing for college applications. Did the sale go through? It did. How do you feel? Lighter. She sat down between us. Can I ask you something? Always. Was it worth it? The fight with Grandma and Aunt Caroline, the lawsuit, all of it, was it worth it? I thought about that question, really thought about it. Yes, not because I got money, not because I won, but because I stopped letting them make me small, because I showed you that you don't have to accept the world as it's handed to you, because I built something that mattered. That was worth it. Would you do it again? In a heartbeat, Emma smiled. Good, because I'm applying to business school, and I'm going to build something too, something bigger than yours, I laughed. I hope you do. Will you help me? Every step of the way. Now, 8 years later, I sit in my home office and think about everything that happened. My mother and I talk every week, not about the past, about the present, about Emma, about her life, about mine. Caroline and I are cordial. Our kids are friends. We get together for holidays, we'll never be close, but we're family, that's enough. David is happy, his practice is thriving. Sarah is pregnant with their second child. Emma is at Northwestern studying business and computer science. She calls me every Sunday, tells me about her classes, her ideas, her plans. She's going to be something, I know it. The scholarship fund has helped 16 students so far, kids who needed someone to tell them they could. Some of them email me, tell me what they're building, I always write back. My company, under Andrea's leadership, hit $200 million in revenue last year. I'm a silent partner now. I show up for board meetings, offer advice when asked. Otherwise, I let her run it. I'm starting something new, smaller, a consulting firm that helps women build businesses. I work with maybe 10 clients a year. Women who are where I was 20 years ago, underestimated, underfunded, determined. I show them what's possible. James and I are good, better than good. He's the one who saw me first, who never doubted, who stood by me when my own family couldn't. I'm proud of us. Last week, Emma called with news. I'm starting a company, an app for financial literacy, teaching people about investing and wealth building. That's amazing. I need a co-founder, though, someone with experience, someone who knows what it takes. Do you have someone in mind? Yes, you, I smiled. I'm in. We're meeting next week to discuss the details. The business plan, the funding, the vision. My daughter is building something, and I get to help her. That's everything. Sometimes I think about that day at Emma's 11th birthday party, when my mother told her to be more ladylike. When Caroline threatened my custody, when everything finally broke, I don't regret kicking my mother out. I don't regret the lawsuit. I don't regret any of it. Because on the other side of all that pain was this: a life I built on my own terms, a daughter who knows she can do anything, a family that's finally, imperfectly, honestly trying. I didn't destroy my family, I just refused to let them destroy me, and that made all the difference. Some people say I should have just walked away, that I should have cut ties completely and never looked back. Others say I didn't go far enough, that I should have exposed everything publicly, that I should have made them hurt the way they hurt me. I genuinely want to know, what would you have done?